Today on America's Day at the Races, the Ladies Handicap is the feature part of a Sunday Pick 6 carryover. The favorite chips in from Maryland, where Miss Leslie has been on a tear. She seeks a third straight stakes win and fourth win overall if she can produce in her first try in New York. Battle Bling should be a formidable opponent. While seeking her first stakes triumph, she enters off a career best effort in a runner-up finish on this surface. In Hot Springs, Arkansas, the feature is a puzzler. Man in the Can may be the morning line favorite, but the form that saw him win 3 straight last spring at Oaklawn appears to be long gone. He'll try to snap an 0-for-9 streak today. And who will take home the hardware at the Eclipse Awards? We'll talk some of the major categories, including a rider who looks like a lock for his first Eclipse honor after a career year. All that and more coming up on this Sunday edition of America's Day at the Races, our program brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net. Today, Aqueduct, you see, established in 1894. The stakes race we have today was established a lot earlier than that. The Ladies Handicap, the oldest stakes race exclusively run for fillies and mares in the United States. It dates back to 1868. Greg Wolf, Andy Serling with you. And this feature today, the top 3 choices near all coming into this race really in career form.
I agree, and I don't think the 2 turns should be a big problem for either of them, though obviously the number 4 horse off the claim, that was a 1-turn race last time out, but Miss Leslie certainly ran well last time out. And I've been around so long, I remember when the Ladies was a grade 1 at 1.25 miles. I remember a 14-horse field running here one day at the 1.25 miles.
Some big names, Top Flight, Shuvi, Beldame. They all have races named after themselves now. They're all former winners of this race. Let's talk about Ms. Leslie. Kiss the Girl was 3rd in this race, but Ms. Leslie, she was impressive. Biggest figure she's earned in her career. It was her 4th stakes win. She'll be coming off 3 weeks rest now to try and make it 4 in a row.
And as her trainer noted, she seems to really be enjoying these 2-turn races, which is probably one of the reasons he shipped her up here. Claudio Gonzalez is a high percentage trainer, doesn't run a lot of horses in New York, but also with the situation at Laurel, a little bit tricky down there. Looking forward to see her run. You made a good point to me, though. She is coming off Lasix today. She
is indeed, in coming off a little bit of short rest as well. We'll see if that's an issue. First try for her in New York. Battle Bling. Rob Attrish just claimed this one. She ran big last time out, 4 wide around the turn, trying to run down a lone speed in Maiden Beauty. She was unable to do that. Maiden Beauty's won over 600,000 in her career.
Yeah, now Maiden Beauty came back with a win in a stake race in a subsequent start. She rode a big bias that day. And this was a day at Aqueduct where the rail was dead. The 3rd-place finisher compromised by foolishly trying to come up the inside. So I would say that Battle Bling was in the best part of the track, but that doesn't mean she didn't run a good race in there. And even though Maiden Beauty may be a little dressed up in her next start, she's okay as well. And Battle Bling is a dangerous. Anytime Michael Dubb and Rob Attrish are teaming up for claims, you need to pay attention.
Trevor McCarthy will have the mount there. It's cold into here. Another one who looks like she could be very dangerous in this spot. Linda Rice just claimed that one. We'll talk plenty more about the feature coming up in just a little bit. That'll be race 8 on today's card. Let's take a look at what's ahead, presented by Claiborne Farm. So races 6 through 9, we have the late pick 4 coming up on a fast track here in South Ozone Park. Oaklawn in Hot Springs, Arkansas. It is good in Hot Springs. And we have the start of the late pick 5 coming up in their 5th. Their feature is that 8th race we talked about with Man in the Can, and with more on the action today at Oaklawn Park. Let's check in with our resident Hall of Famer, Gary Stevens.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. A beautiful day here in Hot Springs, Arkansas. Clear skies, 40 degrees, good racetrack. A big change from yesterday. We got a lot of snow last night. It didn't stick around. It was all melted this morning. A little chilly out here, but let's talk about the feature race today. His first state bred, Arkansas bred, wide open allowance race. Man in the Can, he is your 2-to-1 morning line favorite. He did have significant trouble in his last race coming into the turn. He broke a little bit slow, created his own problems, and he did have some troubles last time. But he's going to have to turn things away. Just for the fact he hasn't won since this race at Churchill Downs. That was back in 2020. Joel Rosario does get back aboard him today, but you have to dig a long ways back through his past performances to find that last win. He's 5 years old now. That was 3 years old, which you saw there, and he's going to have to find that 3-year-old form to be competitive today, guys.
We will see. Thank you, Gary, if he can turn things around. But yeah, that comeback race for him off a short layoff, that was abysmal. And it's a tough race because most of this field are stretching out in distance and they have better form sprinting.
Yeah, that's always a real question mark. And I think one of the reasons probably the morning line favorite is Joel Rosario being aboard. I mean, so far, and Joel's only been back for 2 days, but Greg, we've made note of it several times. He is being massively overbet. And a lot of times I think Joel's ended up looking bad and it's not his fault. He's just riding horses that are being overbet. And when you're supposed to be 4-1 and you're going off at 8-5, it's not the rider's fault when the horses don't run to expectations.
Victim of his own success. And as we alluded to at the top of the show, looks like he is even more than an odds-on favorite to take home some hardware in a very short amount of time here at the Eclipse Awards. It'll be a first Eclipse Award for him. We'll talk more about that jockey category later this afternoon in the program. You can play all the action by getting signed up, started with Naira Bets, $200 sign-up bonus. Use that code right there, bonus 200, to take advantage. Go to NairaBets.com. You can download the Naira Bets app and play along with us all program long. Late pick 4 begins with this race here. 6 furlong sprint. An allowance optional claiming field. One of the, I guess, most talented sprinters in the country that many probably have not heard about is a horse named Happy Medium. What do you think now? Who's a current favorite on the board, was just a distant second to Happy Medium last time out, and actually right now the 9-5 favorite. Let's check in on how to play this pick 4 and the race that kicks it off with Jonathan Kinchen.
Well, hopefully you're alive in the pick 6. Nothing too crazy to get started, but the best news I have to offer you if you are dead in the pick 6 is you got the pick 4 now. So you can get started here with a single. I think the 3, what do you think now, is going to be tough to beat in here. It's interesting. I thought this horse would be a lot shorter of a price. But the only other horse that's really taking a ton of money, more than I expected, was the other Rudy Rodriguez entry. I'm going to stick with the 3, ice cold in here. And then I'm going to use the 1 and the 3 in the next race. The 1 legit, the 3 Flowers for Lisa. Flowers for Lisa looks kind of like a single since moving to Kander Mossy Barn. I just don't quite trust that animal, so I want to make sure that I have the 1 legit as well. I'm going to use 4, 5, and 6 in the stake. Battle Bling, I'm looking forward to stretching out a little bit. The 5, Miss Leslie, and the 6, It's Cold into Hair. 2 other horses I think that can win. And then I'm going to wrap it up in the last with the 5 and the 9. The 5, Miracle Nikki, pretty obvious on paper. The 9, Resilient Courage, a horse that has been running on the turf, but seems to have a class edge. And so I'm hopeful that an aggressive break, some forward progress, they'll have a hard time catching that one. I'll wrap it up with the 5 and the 9.
All right, JK, thanks. Good luck in the pick 4 to everybody playing. You can also get involved in this if you're watching from wherever you may be. You can play against friends, fellow fans with our Showdown contest. Free to enter. No excuse not to play. You're competing for real prizes. Go to Naira.com/showdown. Put in your selections, and we'll have that leaderboard at the end of the program. Hopefully your name is atop it. Post break for the 6 to kick off this pick 4. When we come back, what do you think now? The 3, the 1 to beat. We'll be back.
Grade 1 winner and track record setter Lee. Like their sire, his runners have excelled on both dirt and turf, including these standout performers.
Leading by 3, Gibberish and Dylan Davis.
Out of a Galileo mare, this dual-surface star has sired juvenile stakes winners on both dirt and turf. Lee, standing at Claiborne Farm.
You're watching America's Day at the Races on FS2. Good to have you with us on this Sunday card from Aqueduct and out in Hot Springs, Arkansas to Oaklawn. We got the Pick 4 coming up here in New York. Program brought to you by An Hour Bats, where you can play it all. Pick 4 again starts here. What do you think now that 3-horse 7-5 favorite? Let's head downstairs to Maggie Wolfendale.
And I do think that What Do You Think Now is much the horse to beat. He looks fantastic. Granted, I have always been a big fan of him whenever I see him in the paddock. But Rudy Rodriguez will take over the training on another New York bred by the name Big Engine, number 6 in here on the outside, coming back off of that layoff dating back to early June, actually Belmont Stakes Racing Festival weekend. And a horse that, to be fair, has always made a great impression on me. Just a very good-looking son of Not For Love, one of my favorite Maryland-bred sires, but comes in here with that layoff in mind, looking fit, looking strong, well-muscled, everything you want to see. Does apply a set of blinkers today, just a shortcut cheater blinker, but I like everything I'm seeing. And before the break, when we heard Jonathan talking about this horse, he is taking some money into the teeth of his stablemate, who does look very strong on paper. Now, we do see also the return of number 5, Secret Rules. And just a little background on 10-pound apprentice rider Elsa Morrison, who did have another winner on the card today. She did work this summer for Bill Mott. So there's obviously that connection there. She's a native of Canada, I do believe. So Bill probably giving her a shot here. And 2, taking the weight off of a horse who does have that early speed and is honestly just a bit on the smaller side. So I think bug riders, they do fit these smaller types of physicals just a bit better. Now, he has been gelded for this return as a 5-year-old. It has lightened him up a bit. Always a horse that appeared to me would need a start coming in off the bench, and that's not necessarily the case today. He's really well defined coming in here. Wish he looked a little bit better in his coat, but too, with the age and the gelding, he is coming in a lot more settled and a lot more focused. Greg?
All right, Maggie, thank you. We'll get to our post parade here coming up. We're 4 minutes from a start. They all got to beat this one, the 3, who we're going to see here in a moment. What do you think now? And this horse in very sharp form if you take away that race in the slop 3 back. That is not the preferred surface from this horse, and that second to happy medium really stands out.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's a consistent horse. The one thing that concerns me a little bit with him is his win 2 back. That was a good rail, and he was very much with the track profile that day. So I think it dressed him up a little bit. And, you know, being second to happy medium is all good and fine. He did get beaten by 7 lengths, but listen, he still ran a 90 buyer in defeat, and he's run plenty of fast figures. I don't have a real problem with him. The only thing I'll say is he really the speed? And the rail has been pretty good today, and Trevor McCarthy's always a rider who's acutely aware of that. But Secret Rules is faster than him earlier, and I don't really see Elsa Morrison taking Secret Rules away from what he does
and
best.
Fresh off the bench. Yeah. He's going to fire out of there, you think.
And I like her as a rider, so what do you think now has to deal with potential speed from Secret Rules? But I don't have a problem with him. He's very logical. As far as people wondering the 10-pound rider on Secret Rules, her agent, Mike Solito, also Junior Alvarado's agent, good friends with Leon Seidler, who owns the horse. Elsa was working his good horse, High Oak, who, by the way, coming back in the Swale, Lee told me today, the horse who won the Saratoga Special, and then he, got injured when he ran the Hopeful. And so, he's got a relationship with her, so let her ride her. But, I like her as a rider. She's won a race today. We've seen her ride well. We've seen her give good rides, so I don't have a problem with her riding there. And, she's probably not taking as much money as this horse would normally take because people see the 10-pound bug rider. I don't think it's really a negative here, and especially with a speed horse. What does she have to do? Get out of the gate.
Yeah.
He just doesn't win. That's what worries me about Secret Rules. He keeps good company, but he doesn't win, and that concerns me with the 5 seconds.
This will be the 5-year-old debut, coming off a layoff back to May the 1st, talking about the 5 Secret Rules. Gets a weight break as well with the apprentice, just carrying 108 pounds. What do you think now, carrying 120 today? I got to say, game face on, though, for what do you think now, the favorite?
Well, a very nice horse.
Great.
Maggie said, she's always been fond of how he looks. And listen, he runs to his looks. He's a very consistent racehorse.
There's Longshot running with scissors, 15-1.
He got on fire here last winter, but his form has really tailed off.
Here's the favorite, again, Trevor McCarthy for Rudy Rodriguez.
There's just nothing really not to like unless you're concerned that the pace may get hot with the 5.
The typical Kendrick Carmouche runoff warm-up on Mr. Phil.
Mr. Phil is only really effective when he uses speed, and there's too much speed for him today.
There's Ailsa Morrison, the apprentice on Secret Rules.
I really like what I've seen from her. You know, it's unusual that 10-pound apprentices look as good as she does. I think she shows a lot of promise.
And it's hard to think 5-2 on this horse, 7-5 on the favorite. I mean, Big Engine was no match for what do you think now when they met a couple starts back?
I don't disagree, but that was a very slow pace, and that's what enabled what do you think now and Bank on Shea to run so well, and Big Engine was compromised. I think the pace is more competitive today. I picked Big Engine in this race.
Okay.
I've always been a fan, and I'm taking a shot with him first time for Rudy, but it's not going to be easy.
You can follow along on our program this afternoon with all our races by going to NYRA.com/TV schedule and download the Equibase past performances. Get stats on all the horses, trainers, and jockeys as well. Again, NYRA.com/TV schedule. Competitive Saint there, who we kind of skipped over in the post parade, who has primarily been a turf horse in his career. His only dirt start came in his debut, and he actually won it at Gulfstream, and he's been strictly on grass.
Yeah, now obviously that race wasn't as good, but it was his debut. Overall, it wasn't that bad a field he's in, but what worries me is his last turf race was so bad, and also he's going out for the Weaver Barn, and their horses have just not been running that well. That worries me as well. And this is a tough spot. He better have his running shoes on.
Post time coming up with more on this long shot in the rail. Let's go back down to Maggie.
Yeah, 7-1 currently on Competitive Saint, getting back to the dirt for only the second time, and first time he was on it was a win. Look, his faster races have come on the turf, but I think you're always willing to give a horse a second shot when they only try to surface only one time, and it was their debut. And I'll be honest, doesn't have an overwhelmingly turf appearance. Yes, I am with Andy that I wish his recent form was just a little bit better, but got a lovely warm-up out in the track with Dylan Davis aboard, moving very well, looked great in the paddock, and like I said, I think he's okay on this surface given his physicality. Now, he was entered on Thursday for 32,000, I believe, so maybe you could take it as a positive that they opt to come back here for the 62.5, Greg.
We'll see how this one can line up against some talented runners. Going to have to go on here, moving to a different surface, one that he's not really accustomed to, although, again, his only try over it, he did win. But in terms of that number, he'd need to take a massive move forward.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the point. It's like, okay, let's say you think, he was his debut, it wasn't a bad field, he could improve off of that. He's going to have to be a better dirt horse than I think he was a turf horse to win this race. So what do you think the actual likelihood of that is? I mean, if he was dropping into a field that was sort of moderate and you want to take a shot, that's fine. But he's 8-1 if you like him. He's just not for me. I'd rather take 7-2 on the 5, frankly.
And back to where we thought, and you talk about the lines maker here all the time, David Aragona, but he had, what do you think now at even money, and now that horse has dropped to that number.
No big surprise. You've got the 5 off the layoff and with the Bug Rider.
4 to 5.
And the 6 off the layoff as well. And this horse, listen, as you say, people see Happy Medium. And Happy Medium, has a chance to be a very formidable sprinter this year. I mean, I've got to have to show it against some tougher horses, but, I mean, talk about horses, they say he's done nothing wrong. He's done a lot right.
Potential to get to the Breeders' Cup Sprint later this year.
Oh, sure. I mean, I'd love to see it. Nothing would make me happier to see Michelle Nevin with a top racehorse, because she deserves it. She's a terrific, terrific trainer.
I will say this. It's some of the figures I look at for what do you think now, every time he's run one of his top races, which he's coming off of, a number he ran was one of his best numbers, he's regressed a little next time out. And he could still regress and win this race.
Well, he's had a month to get it done. Big Engine needs to run back to one of his best races. That's true. And I don't, it's funny with his outside draw because he's been a bit of a rail runner in his life. He's kind of a horse who likes to go inside. We'll see if he can get him the inside. I'm going to have to hope that the 5 is super aggressive, engages with the 3, and they move a little right up front. Maybe my 6 Big Engine can pick up the pieces. That's my best hope.
4 begins here. What do you think now? The 3, the big favorite for Rudy Rodriguez. It's Chris Griffin on the call.
All set. And they're off. Very slow start for Competitive Saint, and also running with scissors towards the back of the field. What do you think now has early speed? It's what do you think now with Secret Rules, and on the far outside comes Big Engine. That's the front three. Mr. Phil is now in behind Rivals, is trying to scoot on through, and there is a seam for Mr. Phil. Is going to make it 4 across the racetrack. Tipping to the far outside is Running with Scissors, wants some clear running room, and at the back, it's Competitive Saint. They work towards that far turn, past that 4 furlong point. Here comes What Do You Think Now with a head in front. Mr. Phil is right there in the 2 path and a 3 wide Secret Rules. 3 across the racetrack, and they went that quarter in 23.42. Chasing them comes Big Engine, who lost a touch of ground but is now re-rallying, is about to take third outside of Mr. Phil, who's dropping back. On the front end, Secret Rules has put a nose in front. Battling on down towards the inside is What Do You Think Now, who kicks right on back, and What Do You Think Now hugs the rail and has got more. Down the center of the racetrack is Secret Rules. Big Engine in the blue cap is making up some late momentum as well with Competitive Saint. But right there, down towards the inside, it's all What Do You Think Now, just opening up. What Do You Think Now, striding away here under Trevor McCarthy, and What Do You Think Now wins this one easily. Going to be tight here for second. Will be Secret Rules holding off an oncoming Competitive Saint, and Big Engine in 1 minute, 11.99 seconds.
That's going to flatter Happy Medium's form. He beat this horse by 7 lengths last time out. What do you think now? 5th win of his career.
And that's a fast time on today's track. He rode the rail. I think the rail has gotten very good today if you look through results. But, you know, slow first quarter or not, this horse ran. And, you know, the 5 probably needed the race. Maybe energized a little by the rail in the late stage and getting second. But this is an impressive performance, winning that big. And you're right. I mean, bias, okay. Slow first quarter, okay. But he won by about 10. And as you say, you can't help but flatter Happy Medium. He just destroyed this field.
That was impressive. 4-5 in the end, and now 4 for 7 at Aqueduct. Just too good for this group. And he broke incredibly sharp.
He did. He did. He broke really, really well, and that's the sign of a horse in good form. This was an impressive performance. He was with the track. He had everything his own way, but he won very, very impressively.
Trevor McCarthy, Rudy Rodriguez, the Elkstone group, and a 5-year-old son of Fastiana. What do you think now? Just dominates this group to kick off this late pick 4. We go back to Oaklawn. Mile and a 16th coming up in their 4th race on the card. $30,000 claiming race for horses who have not won 2 lifetime. That's the condition. And Beachwalker, one of many players in this race. Ron Moquette trains, but just, I mean, the records of everybody in here a bit suspect. And Beachwalker, maybe more suspect than most. He's 1 for 20 coming in.
Beachwalker, a horse we saw up in Saratoga, running at some pretty tough fields up there. But as you say, his form seems to have declined.
At least this horse here, One Last Hand, is lightly raced. It's just his 2nd time against winners.
I mean, he's meeting tougher competition, but he's supposed to be in front in this race, isn't he?
He is. And was in front last time, could not last. Assumption, the 2 for Lynn Clorabad.
Coming off the claim for a trainer who has moderate numbers, just 2 for 18 off the claim in dirt routes over the last 5 years.
Here we go again. Asmuz and Joel Rosario favored with the 5.
Doesn't matter. Whoever Joel rides is favored. This horse comes off a layoff, 7 months, going a distance, and was terrible and avoided claim the time before it. He's all yours at 5-2.
Spitestown again with by. We'll get back to him. Faye Dan. Blinkers come off a horse who's been forward and drops in class.
You like this horse a bit. I didn't really see it, but I respect your opinion.
Beachwalker, 7-2.
You just have to wonder, can he get his form back as he drops down?
Rift Valley, 8-1 Florent Giroux.
First time gelding, a horse we saw in New York, makes his first start for John Ortiz. I wonder if the distance is too far for his best, though.
And Megamax, 12-1 Kelsey Haar on the outside.
Looks like an underlay at 12-1 based on his form.
1 for 16. Sire was pretty good in Arkansas. Arch. 5 minutes away from this 4th here at Oaklawn. You can play a pick 3 that begins here. Our favorite has become the 7, actually. Faye Dan, who was, I know we have some scratches in here. 12-1 morning line. You can play this race with Naira Bets. Go to the website, download the app, use that promo code for new members, bonus 200, and get that $200 deposit bonus at sign up to bet at any track, anywhere, anytime. Let's check in with Gary Stevens.
Yeah, guys, let's talk about Joel Rosario and being a finalist for the Eclipse Award. He's riding 5-horse here for Steve Asmussen, but the year that Joel had in 2021 was phenomenal. Over 33 million, almost $34 million in earnings. He was consistent throughout the year at the highest level and at all levels for that matter. It didn't matter whether it was turf, dirt, sprint, long, everything about it's a year that he's really going to remember, and trying to start off 2022 the same way that he started off 2021, guys.
Yeah, just an incredible season for Joel Rosario, and I think, you know, as sensational as it was, and Gary talked about it, he led in graded stakes wins, overall stakes wins, earnings as well, that he didn't get a chance to try and finish chasing those records, getting injured December the 2nd. But just an incredible year, and it's likely going to end in his first ever Eclipse Award.
Well, I think it's very clear that we're at fault for that. We talked it up so much in the show that something had to go wrong. So I'm not saying you personally are to blame, Greg, but I think it's a group effort. I think we share the blame around here.
I think you can point the finger right back at yourself for that
No,
one.
I'm the one who said he was never going to break it.
Yes,
I won
you
that.
did.
I think I won a beer from Gary, actually, now that I think about it. I'm thinking of making him pay, even though it didn't, he didn't get a chance to see what he could do.
Well, Joel will be on the 5, but this is the favorite right now, the 7. Faye Dan, a horse who was 12-1 morning line. He's coming out of a 30,000 starter allowance. That's a tougher group. He's got the ability to be forward. You look at some of his races when he broke his maiden going a mile at Churchill, and with the blinkers coming off, the speed he has, look at the drill they put into him as well. 3-furlong move, bullet drill. I would think we're going to see this horse on the front end.
Well, this rider does like to be aggressive. You are dealing with a 7-down bug rider. You had Giovanni Franco last time out. He's a very good rider. So it isn't a good change, but I think all the other things you say about this horse are very positive. I mean, you had told me while we were off air that you liked this horse. So clearly you saw something. Because I said to you, so this is 12 in the morning line, you said, we're talking about this horse. You were very clear, and you were absolutely right to talk about it because he is favored right now. And, it's the thing. He was involved in the pace duel last time out, and he fell apart. Well, big deal. And now he may be in a situation where he could lead these horses. Not in a merry chase, because isn't one last hand supposed to go from the rail? Doesn't that concern you a little?
Yes. Could be a thorn in his side, who is taking money as well at 5-1. Let's get Jonathan's thoughts here on the 4th.
Yeah, no, I think when you look at this race, you look at the tote board, and to Andy and Wolfie's point about Joel taking so much money. Yeah, I mean, he is taking money in here, but in truth, he is the 3rd choice in doubles. And to me, that's more of an indicator that the 5 is not a great wager in this spot. If you see a trend, which is Joel taking tons of money, and then he's the 3rd choice in a race with Norm McKnight and Moquette, you got to like to think that maybe that horse isn't as live as probably being a little bit overbet. I'm going to fade the 5 in here. I agree with Wolfie. I like the 7, Faye Dan. It's a horse that has some back class, has some big numbers, and he has some okay pace figures last time. I'm hoping that he'll improve off of that effort, and you should get a little bit of a better price than you're seeing on the board right now.
Jonathan, he's got to change that shirt. I got to tell you, Jonathan, really, you wear some
not a fan.
We need a new shirt. I'm just telling you. Just trying to help.
Maybe just go ahead and fire the wardrobe consultant.
Yeah, that may be a good point. You may make a great point there. I agree. Yeah.
Post time coming up for the 4th at Oaklawn. We'll see if he does a costume change when we get back to him. Mile and a 16th coming up here. Non-winners at 2 lifetime here. That's your favorite, the 7 in this spot. Dropping class with the equipment change coming up. And again, Toma Toto, the 5. Asmussen, Rosario.
The turf horse.
Getting over
It's not even a dirt horse.
Welcome to those just joining us on Bally Sports Southern California and San Diego. Those already with us on FS2. Good to be with you on this Sunday card from Oaklawn Park and Aqueduct as well, where we still have the feature to come. The ladies ahead, which is going to be a fun showdown, including Ms. Leslie coming in from Maryland. Right now, this 4th at Oaklawn coming up on post time. Greg Wolf, Andy Serling, Gary Stevens, Stevens and Kinchen, Maggie Wolfendale, all with you. And it's the 5-2 favoritism on the 7, who's in your screen with that purple cap, Faye Dan for Norm McKnight.
Yeah, horse you like. Now, he's probably going to be stalking the speed of the one last hand in here, but this seems to be an easier spot than last time out. Makes a lot of sense. I thought the 8 Beachwalker would be my top choice in here. Has not been in great form, but is dropping down. Was hoping would get a little bit of pace getting back to a fast track.
Rift Valley, you give any love to at all, the 9?
I do, and I think 8 to 1's a fair price. I worry that a mile and a 16th is a little far for his best. He did break his maiden at 7 furlongs. He got a fast pace to do it. And this New York bred, I just wonder if I kind of want to bet him maybe he's a new gelding coming back next time if he doesn't run well here, if they cut him back in distance. The problem is they don't run 7 furlongs there. So it's either 6 or a mile and a 16th. It's a little tricky for him.
Look who he faced back at Aqueduct November 12th, 2020, a horse we just saw decimate a field here in New York. What do you think now?
No, this horse not without talent, and I think he's a little bit interesting. He can run on both surfaces. I just think he may want less distance.
No, not going to happen today. We'll see what he does at a mile and a 16th here off the layoff. New barn, formerly with Jimmy Durkins, now with John Ortiz. There is the 9 stepping in with Florent Giroux. We're set for the 4th from Oaklawn. Vic Stauffer with the call.
They're at the post. They're off. Toma Toto breaks best from Speightstown again, and one last hand at the rail. Then comes Assumption and Beachwalker, followed by Fadan, who had to check off heels early. Mega Max is next, and the early trailer is Rift Valley. One last hand to the backstretch. Opens up on Toma Toto in second. One last hand, a length and a half. Toma Toto is second, the same margin to Assumption, third at the rail. Speightstown again is fourth in the red and white. He's got 4 lengths to make up, and he's a length in front of Beachwalker. Fadan is at the rail, 6 with about 6 lengths to make up. He's 5 in front of Rift Valley, and Mega Max is the trailer as they run up the backstretch, and the leader is one last hand. One last hand to the half-mile pole. 3/4 of a length to a closer Toma Toto in second. Then it's 3 lengths further back to Assumption. Fadan is moving through at the rail, and here's Fadan to go from 6th up into 4th and 4 from the front. Speightstown again and Beachwalker outside of him. Then it's 5 back to Rift Valley, and the trailer is still Mega Max, and here's Toma Toto to make his move for the front. New leader to the quarter pole. Toma Toto a half length in front of one last hand in second. Beachwalker runs up 3 wide. Assumption is between horses. Fadan is 5th, but 4 from the front. Toma Toto and Beachwalker 1-2 at the top of the stretch. Toma Toto leads by a length. Beachwalker is second. Assumption is inside of him, and now Toma Toto opens up a 2.5 length advantage. Assumption has taken second, then Beachwalker, and to the inside Fadan, but it's Toma Toto a 16th out, and now he's 3.5 in front. Assumption will do no better than second. Toma Toto to the wire to win. Toma Toto won by 5. Assumption was second, Beachwalker third, Fadan finished 4th.
Toma Toto, Joel Rosario, Steve Asmussen, and an English Channel on the dirt, which we've been seeing a little bit lately.
Poor English Channel, he's gone. He's a good racehorse, too, and a good sire. Well, I didn't like him. Public liked him. They were right. He won for fun. Thought my horse Beachwalker was making a move on the turn like he was going to go by. He couldn't even get second. He faded the stretch. Rift Valley tried to make a move. He can't go that far, but Toma Toto, he was much the best. Your horse didn't break, to be fair.
No.
Fadan, that horse didn't break at all. And once the horse didn't break, he had no chance.
Yeah, it was game over from there. This was, in the end, dominant from Toma Toto. And some of the top connections in the country who both are hoping they're going to be collecting some hardware at the Eclipse Awards. Steve Asmussen, Joel Rosario, and a new gelding. Off since June 11th. Comes back as a 5-year-old. Picks up just the 2nd win of his career. Back in New York, what do you think now? Just totally dominant against this group to start off the Pick 4.
No question about it. It's an impressive. This race is going to get a very big figure. Now, he earned it, having everything his own way, and I think as his days progress, the rail has been the place to be. But you're allowed to have everything go your own way and still run well, and I think he did. We'll see what Rudy does with him going here. He's a New York bred. You know, the Holly Hughes coming up. I believe that is usually a President's Day feature. That's just a month from now. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's the next place we see him. He's a horse that deserves a chance against better company. He's okay.
Winds up going off at odds on in the end at 4-5. Rudy Rodriguez, Trevor McCarthy, as mentioned, the Elkstone group. And a 5-year-old gelding by Fast Anna. Impressive here. As we take a look at this pick 6 carryover, it was over 42, close to 43,000 coming into today. And Purple Hearted, $10.60 on there. Probably a few singles in this 6 race, but we got a long way to go.
And they bet 7.5 times the carryover, which is pretty strong. So a nice pool, and hopefully it looks like, based on those results, a lot of people alive. So we wish you the best of luck if you are.
7th is next. It's an $8,000 claiming race. This could be a separator in the sequence. 1 turn mile. And Flowers for Lisa, 2-1, who a 9-year-old who's a 14-time winner. He has to have the lead to be effective. He got the lead last time out, and he still couldn't finish the deal.
And it was a big speed track he was on. He still couldn't win. Now, if the track is, in fact, a big inside track, he could be the inside speed if Harkey outrides Invest, the number 7 in Romania, to the lead. And if he does that, he may have a big advantage. I don't like this horse based on his form, and I think you're alluding to it. I like the one Legit who's dropping significantly. I want the drop down in this race.
Yeah, from 16 down to 8 today. More on this 7th. When we come back, we're going to take a time out here on America's Day at the Races. Winningest trainer in North American history. That record-breaking win came this year. How about Chad Brown? 27 graded stakes wins on the grass, and the reigning Eclipse Award winner. Can he make it back-to-back? We'll take a look at the finalists for Top Trainer. Still to come.
I bought a Tapper colt at the Keeneland September sale, and incredibly excited about that purchase. It was a colt that had plenty of size and scope and carried himself with a real presence that drew me to him.
I bought a Tapper colt out of Black Coronas at the Phasing 5th in July sale, out of a Curlin mare, big, beautiful horse. We're real excited about him coming up in the spring.
Taprit, standing at Gainesway.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit nairabets.com.
Smile Happy was a TDN rising star following his maiden win at Keeneland. From there, he captured the Grade 2 Kentucky Jockey Club Stakes to remain undefeated and earning points toward the Kentucky Derby. In Future Pool 1, Smile Happy was individual leader by lowest odds. Among the top of his crop by stakes winners and earnings, Run Happy continues his rise and is priced for success. Call today and book your mare to Red Hot Sire Run Happy, standing in legendary Style 1 at Claiborne Farm.
Blood Horse Plus, available through bloodhorse.com, provides exclusive, timely, and unmatched content to subscribers, including Fox Sports, Blood Horse branded weekly programs, a detailed stakes winners section, behind-the-scenes videos from Blood Horse staff, on-demand access to deeper horse statistics, and a $5 monthly credit to equineline.com. Upgrade to Blood Horse Plus today.
We're back on America's Day at the Races. Program brought to you in part by champion sprinter Run Happy. Never lost in his career while sprinting, and did it all while racing medication-free. Toma Toto, Joel Rosario, Steve Asmussen, Bloom Racing Stable, and a 5-year-old son of English Channel. Wins for just the 2nd time in his career, a new gelding off the bench.
He was a new horse today. I guess he ran back to that first off the turf figure. Maybe dirt is in his future. Got it done today. Powerful off the layoff.
And just good to see that man back right there. Joel Rosario, injured December 2nd with that hairline rib fracture. Just returned this week on Friday. Didn't take him long to get back in the winner's circle. Won that first day back, and now he notches another one here with Toma Toto. $9.60 for the victory. 5-2-8 finish. That trifecta for 50 cents, $87. Not bad, with one of the horses who early on was favored anyway. Fifth race starts the pick 5. It's a 30,000 claiming race. All these horses for sale. It's for horses who've not won 3 lifetime. Sprinting 6 furlongs. Molto Vivace dropping out of a very tough group. Whiskey Double won that race. It's a horse who's multiple graded stakes placed.
Yeah. I thought this was a fairly wide open race. I got big trainer stats for the number 8, Marvin.
Meanwhile, back in New York, flowers for Lisa, the 9-year-old. He wants to try and do it on the front end. Can he wire this field? We'll be back.
Good Magic's in front. Good Magic pulls away from Solomini. Good Magic's gonna win his first race, and he's gonna do it in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile.
Good Magic to the front of the field in the Toyota Bluegrass to win it.
The champ is back. Good Magic in a good-looking performance.
800,000, 75, 875, 8.5. Pete, 775,000. Thank you.
Magic's in front.
America's Day at the Races on FS2 Regional Networks out in Southern California. Program brought to you in part by Hillendale at Alapa. 7th race next here in New York. It's an $8,000 claiming 1-turn mile ahead. Let's head downstairs to Maggie.
Thanks, Greg. And we'll check in with the inside 2 runners, beginning with number 1, Legit, who will go first off the claim for trainer Tally Lynch. And he is dropping in class. And as Andy said, he just has those go-back races to lean upon. And sometimes, as I always say, you look as good as how you match up with your competition. And let me tell you, Legit matches up very well. Now, he is a well-bred horse, so he's always kind of looked that way. The other thing that's been consistent with him throughout his career is his bad feet. I've always noticed it when he was with Todd Pletcher. He has consistently had Equilocks and glue-ons, and sometimes he shows up with other trainers without them, but Tally has them on him today, and I think that's a good thing. And horses are so much more comfortable if they have those kind of shelly, compromised feet with the glue-ons. And I like what I'm seeing from him. He does show up wearing the front wraps, but physically overall, I think he matches up well against his foes here. And as Tally said, with the track kind of speeding up a little bit and it being a bit tighter than what it was early on in the card because it was so cold they couldn't put as much moisture on it, she said it's probably a good thing for him just being that much tighter. Number 2, Magnetron, same thing with him. He sports glue-on shoes, and his last 2 efforts have come over wet, muddy, sealed tracks. He's 0 for 12 over wet tracks, and a lot of times those tracks with the moisture will just sting a horse with the bad feet. And so we'll see what he does. Look, I'm never that ready to endorse a horse claimed off of trainer Rob Atras, but he does drop back down to the 8,000 here, gets the fast track today, and just looks healthy from the overall perspective. And then the outside runner is number 9, 3 the Hard Way, ships in from out of town, where he's been running against some weak fields. To be honest, I don't have a problem with him here in the paddock. Look, the horse that beat him that day did save more ground than he, but came back and posted a 61 buyer. Like I said, at a short price, he's kind of the one I'd stay away from, Greg.
All right, we got riders up. Get to our post parade here in just a moment. Maggie, thank you. 4 minutes away from the 7th race. You can play it with Naira Bets. Go to the website, download that app, and play along. Bonus 200. Get you that offer there. A $200 deposit match sign up bonus. Again, bonus 200 at Naira.com or on the Naira Bets app. Here comes the post parade. We'll start with the one you like down inside, Legit here, who drops in class and off the claim.
I just look at this race with a lot of horses been running the lower levels, and he's been running a much higher, and we'll expand this a little more. But there is a huge difference when horses drop into the lowest level races, and I just think if he gets the right trip, he's better than these horses.
Magnetron, Wayne Potts trying to get his first win here at the meet.
Wayne Potts has won for about 50-something over the last nearly 4 months at Naira, and this horse has really only run well for trainer Rob Atras.
9-year-old Flowers for Lisa, who wants to wire the field, just went by.
Heeman Harkey's been riding well. He's got to be aggressive with this one. Bad favorite, but maybe on this racetrack.
Big price went by in the 4, and here's Blood Moon, another big price.
Yeah, this horse ran at this level and was nowhere at 30-1 last time. Like the Apprentice, though.
Chris Englehart trains Marble Moon. Benji Hernandez.
This horse has absolutely no speed.
Rider change on Invest, Raul Mania.
Well, Louis Rodriguez-Castro out with COVID, so we wish him a speedy recovery. This one is supposed to be in front.
And here's a couple of contenders outside. Playwright for Dominic Schettino.
Yeah, Playwright makes a lot of sense in this race. He just never seems to win anymore. 0 for 14 in 2021.
And 3, the Hard Way, Jose Lezcano for Bob Caceres.
And I agree with Maggie. This horse, though not impossible, he recently won a $5,000 claiming race out of town. I just want to expand a little bit on the drop downs. You know, when horses run at the bottom level, and this is the bottom level, they can be worth from 0 to the 8,000 they're being offered. When horses are running for 12,000, 16,000, that's the price you're putting them on. So when you run down to the bottom level, you're going to often run against horses that are not worth the 8,000. They might be worth 2,000. And I think when you're running at 16, you're running against horses that are relatively worth 16,000. That's why these drops in the bottom level, to me, can be so powerful.
We'll see if it pays off for Legit, who you're looking at from that inside post, 7-2. JK, what do you think of the 7th?
Yeah, this is a tricky race because if you look at paper, it feels like Flowers for Lisa could get loose in here. It feels like the horse you probably want, but it's also the horse that you're supposed to try to beat, the horse you don't trust. It's just one of those tricky situations. I think that he will win just because of the pace advantage that he has. It feels like he's kind of maybe gotten a little bit better since switching to the Cantor Mossies. And while I'll agree with Andy that he's probably the racetrack probably played into his favor last time, it might play into his favor again here today. So I think that's the most likely winner. But I do agree the one Legit is dropping in from 16, ran well enough last time for 16. You get the trainer change as well. This horse should be finishing while the rest of them will likely be looking for the wire late.
All right, JK, thanks. 7-2. A lot of reasons to like this horse. The drop, the biggest among them.
To me, that's all it really was. And I'll tell you something else. This horse is off the claim for Natalia Lynch, for owner Ben Mandel, who's a sharp claiming owner. And her horses have been quietly running very well as of recently. So I have a lot of confidence this horse will run well. And I like, Jalen Samuel riding. I think he rides just fine here. Hopefully he can stay inside and, the race comes apart a little bit. I understand the racetrack may help Flowers for Lisa. And I'm already setting up a caveat after the race saying, well, it wasn't really wrong. I don't like this horse.
Not going to help this horse, the racetrack today. Playwright.
No. But to be fair, you got Trevor McCarthy. And you want a rider who's acutely aware of a racetrack, it's Trevor McCarthy. So he will get this horse to the inside if possible. And the inside's the place to be. And, if the 3, Flowers Lisa gets the lead over the 7, Invest, and that horse gets leg weary regardless, this horse could be making the right move in the right part of the racetrack. And it's 7-1. Why is the 8 7 to 1 and the 9 4 to 1? That's ridiculous.
It is a little strange. Maybe, well,
the 9.
You're against. You're really you and Maggie are sort of against the 9.
I have him fourth. I won't be falling to my chair
Yeah.
if he wins. But this is a horse that ran a $5,000 conditional claiming race 2 back at Laurel and lost at Penn National last time. With all due respect, you're not supposed to be taking 4 to 1 here.
Lescano, Claceris. Let's go back downstairs to Maggie.
Talking about number 8, Playwright in here. Looking at warm-ups, this horse warmed up very well. Now, I know Trevor McCarthy isn't trying to reinvent the wheel with this guy and try to get more speed from him, because we know after 47 career starts, he just doesn't have that much. But Trevor, I think, has it in his mind not to let him get too far back. We'll see what kind of pace, as I continue to eat my hair, develops out in front of him. But he did warm up very nicely. He isn't necessarily the winningest type as of late in his career, but one to probably pick up the pieces, and looks though he's doing well, at least heading into this effort, Greg.
We could probably send her some food down there. Have to resort to eating her hair, for God's sakes.
She is braving the elements for us. Flowers for Lisa, the 3.
She's not doing it for me. She's doing it for you.
She's going to be joining me on the desk a little bit later when Andy heads home, but I get you for a little bit longer. We'll see if this 9-year-old can go gate to wire, the 3 with Heeman Harkey. Flowers for Lisa. We're set for race 7. Here's Chris Griffin.
All set. And they're off. Speed from Trapeze Artist, also in the early mix, will be Invest in the red cap towards the far outside. It's Invest who's got a nose in front, Trapeze Artist, and there's Flowers for Lisa. The red blinker's going to try and scoot on through as they get set to come out of the chute. 3 across the racetrack. Magnetron is taken 4th. Pink Cap, that's 3 the hard way, who's now in 5th. That one's followed by Marble Moon, who's taken the 6th position, with Playwright, who's dropped over to the rail, now in 7th. Towards the back, Blood Moon, and the trailer is Legit. They work up the backstretch. And a pace duel on the front end. Invests to the outside of Flowers for Lisa. They went quick, 24.30 for that opening quarter mile. Neither giving an inch here as Flowers for Lisa is trying to come on back to Invest, and they are 3 clear from Magnetron, who's right there in 3rd. Trapeze Artist is losing some ground in 4th as they approach that half-mile pole. Then comes 3 the hard way, still in the 5th spot. Trying to move forward as Playwright has picked up a position as Marble Moon has dropped back. Legit is second to last, and the trailer, Blood Moon, 48.52 for a half-mile time, and the battle continues up front. Flowers for Lisa and Invest there 1-2, and here comes Magnetron. Magnetron has moved to the outside, and Magnetron has got them in sights and runs right on by. Magnetron has got the lead with a quarter mile left to go and crosses over down towards the inside at the rail. It's Magnetron who's up by 2.5, 3 widening lengths. Also emerging, here comes 3 the hard way down the center of the racetrack with Legit and Playwright. 8th to go, Magnetron and Dylan Davis, they're still 3 in front. Under a full drive is 3 the hard way. Playwright is also with a late rally. Magnetron needs the line. Here comes 3 the hard way in the final stages. 3 the hard way and Playwright. Magnetron needs that line. Magnetron will maybe get it. Playwright was flying up on the outside to get in the photo. In between them came 3 the hard way in 1 minute 43.19. It's a photo.
Photo finish here in the 7th. Magnetron looked home free, and then all of a sudden gets leg weary. Here comes Playwright. Trevor McCarthy, the 8 to the outside. I don't know.
Even looking on our slow-mo, that is very, very close. I don't know if we can play that again one more time. It might be that he got to the wire, and then the 8 nailed him. I'm not sure. Wow, this is wildly close. It's much easier to see on the head-on. And the Wayne Potts, the tough run, can he get a winner home? Whoa, this is dangerously slow. Let's see what we got here. Greg, I don't know.
Pass.
I don't know,
wait for the photo.
It's almost like, hard as this is to believe, that when they got to the beginning of the mirror, he might have been in front. By the time they were about 2 inches in the mirror, the 8 had gotten there.
It was that close.
I don't know. The 8 was, came down to 5 to 1.
Yeah, both of these two go off at the same price here at 5 to 1, and that's a for Magnetron. If this is a beat,
there's not much to say. This is, I mean, the 8 gets by him, but it might be after the wire. I'm going to say the 2-1 or it's a dead heat. But honestly, Greg, I don't know. I just don't know.
The 8 unofficially put up as your winner.
There you go. Trevor McCarthy. Well, what did Trevor do? Trevor stayed on the rail until they turned for home and then angled out. He got all the advantage. Legit, not he's going to win, was out in the 4-path the entire way around the racetrack. But he did break from the rail, so it's understandable why he got on the 4-path. But that's the difference. When you have a rider like Trevor McCarthy who just pays so much attention, and he's always going to take every single edge. And Wayne Potts, that's 2 days in a row, 2 racing days in a row where he's taken excruciating beats.
Yeah, that was brutal. And for Flowers for Lisa, the moment you saw him getting harassed early by Invest, you knew it was not going to be his day.
Yeah, he was a terrible, terrible favorite.
Back at Oaklawn Race 5 starts the pick 5. Again, 30,000 non-winners of 3 lifetime. The condition, 6 furlong sprint. And we're going to take a look at this whole field here coming up at the post parade. Talked about Molto Vivace. 8-5 now on the Asmus and Rosario runner. Those connections trying to go back-to-back, taking a huge drop down in class.
Oh, it's hard to believe. Joel Rosario is the favorite again. It's sort of incredible. I mean, I guess every horse, he's taking a big drop. Okay numbers first time for a tag. He's going first time for a tag. Marvin's also first time tag. His trainer's great numbers first time for a tag.
Richie Ride, 11-1.
Well, it feels like Migliori should be here for this horse, don't you think? Good form at Hawthorne.
Miss Mig. We'll see him soon.
Yep.
Molte Vivace, 7-5 favorite. Asmus and Rosario second off a lengthy layoff and a lot easier company today.
Been a while since he hasn't been on a muddy or wet, fast, sealed track. We'll see. His 2 fast track races are his best races that were listed as good.
Good sprinters. Bob's Edge, he was third too. Safa's Day was in that race. Sag Harbor, huge price.
Yeah, big price on this horse. I mean, maybe he used the wet tracks as an excuse last time, but his best races are out of town.
Lindsay Schultz, second off the claim, had a story on her just the other day.
We gonna run that feature again today? You did a great job.
Thank you.
Doing the
23-1. Continuing to learn more about these trainers on the circuit. Reef's Destiny, big price.
We'll have to improve.
Opus Equus.
Wayne Potts coming right back. He's everywhere. Off the claim.
Yeah, horse would put together 2 in a row at Churchill and Oaklawn before a beat last start. Brad's time. Diodoro, David Cohen.
Good form out of town for Diodoro. Has not run at Oaklawn yet, but the last race at Churchill was bad.
7-1, big number there. Marvin, you mentioned earlier, 5-1.
Big numbers first time for a tag for this trainer, McLean Robertson. Interesting.
Want to get special reserve.
Yeah.
2 back.
I like him.
One of the best sprinters in the country. O-Dog, just claimed by Cipriano Contreras.
Tough to claim from Chris Hartman. Guy's a good trainer.
Devil's Tower, 11-1, Chris Hartman.
Back to Chris Hartman, second off the claim. Thought a little bit interesting. Got involved in a tough pace duel last time out.
Claimed off of Tom Amos, by the way.
Yeah, well, if you can't improve from Tom Amos, you can't improve from anybody.
Battle of Memphis at 9-1.
Battle of Memphis looked in a little bit tough.
This will be the dirt debut for Battle of Memphis. Been only on turf and synthetic to this point. Let's check in with Gary.
Yeah, guys, Molto Vivace, he deserves to be the favorite in here. I think he's probably well worth the money that he's running for, the $30,000. Could probably, if he wins, he'll be forced to jump up in class or wait the 30 days to run back for the same tag. But his numbers are just strictly faster on the speed figures than the rest of these horses. But I think some interesting horses in here. Opus Equus, who you talked about, or Equus. For Wayne Potts. Wayne Potts is having a good meet right now here at Oaklawn Park. He's winning solidly with just a short number of horses, short number of starters. And then Marvin, I like this horse just for the fact of Mac Robertson, when he's dropping horses in like he is. Marvin right now, they're always tough to deal with. What do you think, JK?
Look, I thought the 11 Devil's Tower made a ton of sense in here. He's a horse that, like Andy said, and Wolfie as well, it's hard to claim off of Tom Amos, but it's really hard to claim off of Tom Amos and then run up a level. They claimed the horse came off of Tom for 20, then they came into a starter allowance race, which is a restricted race, a much more difficult race. I have a thing for outside speed at Oaklawn Park. Those types of trips seem to get the job done. I think the 11 Devil's Tower makes sense. The 2 should be tough, but I think the 11s, there's some value there.
All right, JK, thanks. Just about all loaded up. Molto Vivace, the 2, the 1 to beat. Asmus and Rosario looking to go back-to-back. Here's Vic Stauffer.
They're off. Slow start, Molto Vivace. Fast start. Devil's Tower, who goes to the front from Brad's Time and Ride Richie Ride. Marvin is next. Now Molto Vivace, after that slow beginning, moves up into 5th. Brother Aaron and Battle of Memphis are next, then Sag Harbor, followed by O-Dog and Reef's Destiny, and the trailer is Opus Equus. Into the far turn 3 across the track, Ride Richie Ride. Brad's Time between horses, and 3 wide Devil's Tower. These 3 right together. Molto Vivace is just in behind them, 2 from the front. He's 2.5 in front of Marvin. 3.5 lengths, 2. Sag Harbor and Battle of Memphis. Brother Aaron has 10 to close. Reef's Destiny inside of him. Then O-Dog, Opus Equus, the trailer, and the leader is Devil's Tower. Devil's Tower has the lead off the top of the turn. He's now 1.5 lengths in front of Ride Richie Ride in second. Molto Vivace has 2 to make up. Outside of him, it's Marvin, then Sag Harbor, and it is Devil's Tower clear with Molto Vivace inching closer with every stride. Devil's Tower, Molto Vivace, Devil's Tower, Molto Vivace, Devil's Tower in front. Devil's Tower beat Molto Vivace. Marvin was 3rd, close for 4th. Sag Harbor maybe over Ride Richie Ride.
Devil's Tower the win. JK, nice call here. 2nd off the claimed off of Tom Amos.
Legit excuse last time, involved in a very fast pace that came apart, but he ran well today. I mean, he was on top of that fast pace today. The other 2 fell apart, and it's tough to gain in Oaklawn. It seems like horses seem to loom the last couple races on the outside, and they just can't get the leader, but this was a well-earned victory. He was much the best.
11-2-8. Favorite cannot get to this 4-year-old son of Into Mischief. And Marvin winds up 3rd in here, so
I
one
bet
that
Marvin.
JK gave out. 2 other logical runners. They're 2nd and 3rd.
Yeah, no, I agree. The two didn't break sharply, and that probably hurt him, but he worked out a good trip after there. The winner was best.
3rd career win for this 4-year-old who was making just the 9th start of his career, and he's now won 3 of his last 5 starts. Devil's Tower. Back to New York. And how about this finish? Photo in the 7th as playwright Trevor McCarthy come and just nail Magnetron and Dylan Davis right at the wire.
Wow, this was a terrific ride by Trevor, because he saved ground until around the 5/16 pole when he angled out, and he had to angle his horse out. Just kept on coming, but this ride really made the difference here in saving that ground, as opposed to being outside the whole way. And horses like, especially the 1, but also the 9, I think compromised a bit by being outside. And Wayne Potts, his bad run continues. And whether you're a horse player or a jockey or a trainer, when you're going bad, it just seems like you take every single tough beat. It wasn't even that close, Greg, frankly.
It really wasn't possible to tell from our
Right.
vantage point, but in the end, yeah, it looked like a clear nose. $12.40, playwright, 9-year-old son of Super Saver, former Derby winner, gets the 7th win of his career. This after an 0 for 14 2021.
Wow.
8-2-9.
Trevor deserves a lot of credit for that.
Now we have another 5-to-1 shot here in this pick 6 carryover.
What do we
In fact,
got?
the biggest price in the sequence so far with 2 legs remaining.
So we got a parlay that's closing in at $400 so far for $2. We'll see how it works out.
Take a look at our feature, the ladies. As Andy said, used to be a Grade 1 back in its glory days. Oldest stakes race in the United States, exclusively run for fillies and mares. 151st running today, and Miss Leslie comes in from Maryland trying to win her 4th in a row for Claudio Gonzalez.
Yeah, she likes these 2-turn races. Her general lack of speed may work against her in this race, and really all the favorites are horses that don't have that much speed, and Exotic West could be the inside speed, and it's just hard to see her wiring the field, but the track will give her best chance.
Now back at Oaklawn quickly, there is the stewards taking a look at things. There is an objection, so we'll keep you posted.
Against the winner? You went too fast? Well, we'll take a look at the head on the stretch.
I'm not sure who it's involving.
Well, the red cap is 2nd place finisher. Horse in the white blinkers is in front. At what? Well, it can't be anything that took place that we saw. Maybe it's before that. He drifts a little there, but that was, well, I don't. Based on what they're showing, this is a waste of time.
All right, so until we figure out what they're looking at, we'll get back to this.
Right. 12-1 on this horse. Big price.
11,283, and it is the winner who's flashing. So
well, that's ridiculous.
And
unless
it's a rider's objection.
Unless there's something that happened that we didn't see, but based on what we saw, this is foolish.
All right, we'll keep you posted until we find out more. Featured coming up at Aqueduct. We'll have the post parade for the ladies when we return. Miss Leslie, 9-5 favorite, trying to make it 4 straight in her New York debut. We'll be back.
Precocity.
Strategic speed. Some speed at 2, but can carry it on through their later careers.
Improbable, full of run. Improbable, now a Grade 1 winner.
It is a complete runaway, an authoritative run.
It's Improbable to win the Whitney.
Introducing Adelphi Racing Club, the horse racing syndicate offering more than just fractional ownership. Enjoy the thrill of an interactive thoroughbred ownership experience competing at the sport's highest level. Attend events where you'll interact with top trainers, industry professionals, and club members. We've cheered on winners from coast to coast at top tracks such as Santa Anita and Saratoga.
And it will be Exotic West.
Become part of a group that celebrates success together. Visit AdelphiRacing.com and join the club today.
Liam's Map, a 2-time Grade 1 winner with 6 consecutive triple buyers, including a 114 to win the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. He's already taking the lead as a sire, with Grade 1 winners Basin, Wicked Whisper, and Colonel Liam, and graded stakes winners like Rushy, plus multiple 6-figure yearling sales and 2-year-old sales up to $1.2 million. Proven on the track, proven in the sales ring. Liam's Map, only at Lane's End.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. Use promo code TRYRTN for a 5-day free trial.
Back on America's Day at the races, and no change made. Apparently the 7 checked near the turn. There was rider's objection, but it was disallowed. Devil's Tower win upheld at 12-1 here.
Big price on that horse, yeah. Big price. Nice pick by Jonathan, and a horse who was an overlay at that price. Especially that trainer, such a good trainer, Chris Hartman.
John Geraldo aboard for the win. Feature in New York. Up next here, the ladies. 151st running of this event coming up, and Ms. Leslie, the 5. Again, the New York debut. Angel Cruz, Claudio Gonzalez. The short rest a concern at all?
Well, I think that coupled with the no Lasix as the horse been running on, always all those things have to be a bit of a concern. I mean, what's this horse coming back in 21 days? That's fair. This has a week less time than Battle Bling. I thought it was the 4 or 5 mostly, maybe a little 6. I mean, I don't have that. There's something clever going on in here. I'm not seeing it.
How about this filly here? 3 consecutive wins. She was claimed in the 3rd start of her career back in 2020 for $25,000. She has gone on to win 6 of her next 13 starts for the New Connections, including 4 stakes victories.
And I like the fact she ran the extra heat. A horse who ran extra heat, claiming race from her career debut, and finished a very tough 2nd in the Breeders' Cup behind Bobby Frankel's first Breeders' Cup winner, Squirtle Squirt.
He was talented. Well, this was a powerful performance at Laurel, and it was at this 1 1/8 distance. Was just dominant in the stretch, putting this field away. And horse who she's beating here behind her, Artful Splatter, Pretty good runner who's an 8-time winner.
Yeah, no, she's okay. Kiss the Girl, who's back in this race, finished a distant third in here, and Kiss the Girl certainly got some decent enough races for Mike Trombetta. She's in very good form, and these 2-turn races, mile and eighth, will be no problem for her. She brings a race from Maryland, and the racetrack doesn't get in her way. She's going to be tough to beat.
She was not slowing down at all, going a mile and an eighth. Can she get it again here in the New York debut? Let's head downstairs to Maggie.
And we'll take a look at some of those new faces here in the paddock, Greg, with this ladies handicap, starting with the horse coming up from Maryland, and that is Miss Leslie. She is number 5, as she does bring her rider as well, Angel Cruz, looking for her 4th consecutive win. And I think, as her trainer, Claudio Gonzalez, has said, the longer, the better. She speaks that here, looking at her physically. She's just all legs. I mean, she's got some of the longest legs I've seen on a filly as of late, and she looks good. I mean, she's kind of that spindly type, but that's what you want going this 9 furlong distance, and she looks fit heading in here. You know, I always kind of wonder a little bit with what's going on with the track down at Laurel. A lot of trainers have not been able to train, and to be competitive coming up here to these demanding New York tracks, you have to be fit, so you have to get the work in. Looks as though she shipped around from Laurel to Pimlico to get some of those workouts in, but I can't say that she looks unfit here, especially coming back off the 3-week rest. So I have nothing negative to say about Miss Leslie. As number 6, it's Cold into Hair. Aptly named for today, aptly named given her pedigree. This daughter of Icebox sat off, or just off, a very tepid pace last time out where Linda Rice picked her up. Now, we haven't seen Linda with these Churchill Downs / Kentucky claims have that much immediate success with them. And It's to Cold into Hair got very, very good in the barn of Norm Cassie's, especially once he stretched her out in distance. Now, I can see why previous connections didn't stretch her out. She doesn't look like a 9 furlong horse whatsoever yet. She is 2 for 2 at the distance, and she doesn't act like one either. And I do think I remember with us covering Churchill that she can be a bad actor, and it seemed as though Linda knew that, as she was put on the pony to get the tack on, done on the walk, and she has been on the muscle, just really, really revved up in here. So wondering if we do see some early speed. Physically, I like what I'm seeing from her, but is she just expending a little too much energy for an ambitious spot coming off the claim here for Linda Rice? Guys.
Maggie, thank you. 3-1 on It's Cold into Hair. She's won 4 of her last 6, and as Maggie mentioned, undefeated. 2 for 2 and a mile and an eighth. We'll be back with a feature next.
A Grade 1 winner of nearly $2 million, Silver State hails from the sire line of legendary Claiborne stallion Danzig. And his second dam is full sister to Kentucky Derby winner Monarchos. After winning the Oaklawn Handicap, Silver State defeated Knicks Go in the Grade 1 Metropolitan Handicap. On the board in 12 of 14 starts from ages 2 to 4, his career included a 6-race winning streak. Grade 1 winner Silver State, standing at Claiborne Farm.
You're watching America's Day at the Races on FS2, regional networks out in Southern California. Program brought to you in part by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual, unusually well. Featured next at Aqueduct, the ladies handicap purse of $100,000. And there's one of the main contenders to Ms. Leslie, the favorite. This is Battle Bling. That has got to be a good feeling when you put in a claim for a horse and she comes up and runs the biggest race of her career, and then you're going to have her going forward.
No, I agree. And listen, these are very sharp team. And Mike Dubb has been successful claiming owners. You can find the game for, it seems like maybe the last 20 years. Could be longer, frankly. And Rob Atras and he have done very well together. This horse had a very good trip in that race. The winner did come back with a stake, had everything her own way to win that stake. But it still was a good race. She makes sense, and you have to respect this combination.
She's 4 wide going around the turn.
It was a dead rail this day. You know, because Jose Lescano was on it. He's never found a dead rail he didn't like.
And going to try and run down Maiden Beauty. Was in front by herself. As you mentioned, would come out here and win the Bay Ridge Stakes. She's a 9-time winner, over 600 grand.
She's a good horse. She's a big favorite in this race as well. And this horse really ran her to the wire. No, nothing wrong with that effort. I mean, good trip or not, she ran well. And off of that claim, she could easily move forward off of that claim. And if she does, the 6-5 better show up with her best race, or Linda's horse coming in from Kentucky. And Linda's claims from Kentucky, Linda Rice, have not run that strongly.
And meanwhile, Battle Bling at least is the one off that performance who's kind of, even though she didn't win that race, she's proved she can run big here in New York.
Yeah, no, I agree. Listen, I picked the 5, but I didn't think there would be some kind of price discrepancy between the 4 and 5. I think they'd be very similar.
Post-parade coming up for our feature, 3 minutes away here from the ladies. Fillies and mares 4 and up, still 7-5 favoritism on Ms. Leslie. We will see Exotic West first, who could be the speed inside.
Yeah, maybe as the inside speed, it gives her an advantage. But, man, she's got to run a lot faster to beat quite a few in this race, Greg.
Got back to dirt last start and was a winner, but this is a much tougher test. Here's Kiss the Girl.
At 8-1, I'll tell you what, I'd rather take 8-1 on her than 6-1 on the 1. At least her races are fast enough to give her a sniff.
Well, she was up for sale, and Kirk Wyckoff of Three Diamonds Farm pulled her out of that Keeneland sale to run here. Vienna Code, 15-1.
She's in career form, but is that career form good enough to be competitive here?
Battle Bling, we just showed you for Rob Atras.
Is she dead on the board at 7-2?
No question.
I'm surprised. It feels like the board is saying to you, stay away from me right now.
3-2 favorite. Ms. Leslie trying to make it 4 straight.
He's in great form. I picked her on top. Angel Cruz back here.
It's cold into hair. She has won 4 of her last 6, and she's undefeated at 1 1/8.
We'll see. Linda Rice went down to Churchill. She claimed a bunch of horses. They have not panned out so far, but a win here would go a long way to changing that.
Philly she beat last start, just 2 for 22. May have been more of a turf horse.
Yeah,
we'll see.
I'm dubious.
Let's check in with Jonathan, get his thoughts here on the feature.
Yeah, I kind of agree that they are a little bit colder. I thought the 4 could potentially be the favorite just with the switch to Rob Atras. But Danny Gargan's not the type of guy, I think, Andy, you mentioned on the show earlier this week, the kind of guy that people are running in line to bet horses off of Danny Gargan, so that might have something to do with it. I'm going to start with the 4. I feel like this horse will be able to handle the distance. It's has run second before. Distance is similar, but I'm a believer that in 1-turn mile races, because you are not able to slow down going into that first turn like you are in a 2-turn race, that they do test the stamina a little bit more, even sometimes in a 1 1/8 2-turn race. So I'm not too concerned about Battle Bling getting the distance, and I'm happy to be getting the price that I'm getting. And if you look at the doubles, it's $61 to the 4, $28 to the 5, and $61 to the 6. So the 5's going to stay the favorite, and I think the 4 will stay in a reasonable price. The 5, Miss Leslie, it's all about, do you trust the form from Laurel? I trust the speed figures. The speed figures suggest this horse has a chance, but there is some changes, like Andy mentioned. What's going to happen with no Lasix? You had to ship up there, and you're back pretty quick. And then the 6, it's cold into hair. This horse has some back numbers. And you could maybe make a case that will this horse improve switching to Linda Rice? Linda Rice sometimes does that. She can move a horse up. Nothing against our friend Norm Cassie, but it can happen. Just a change of scenery. And so I felt like this horse was completely towards the outside, 4, 5, 6. I wouldn't retire from betting horses if the 1, 2, or the 3 won, but I'd at least retire for the day. I like the 4, Battle Bling.
I want to correct something Jonathan said. He's not wrong. Obviously, the 5 is going to stay the favorite in here. But, we used to use the multi-race bets, and we could tell you, there were horses that were 5-1 on the board, and they were favored in doubles. And you knew in the last minute or two the odds would change. Things have changed here at NYRA, and we took that stuff seriously with these late changes in odds. And without CAW money now in the win pools, we're not seeing the correlations between the double prices that we used to see. So while he's going to be right in this situation, in general, be very careful of using double prices to predict what odds are going to be, because the correlations don't exist anymore the way they did before Saratoga.
Meanwhile, even money on Ms. Leslie, the 5. Let's head downstairs to Maggie.
I couldn't agree with Jonathan more. Outside 3 horses, but at least from my vantage point, in the looks department, I did prefer Battle Bling. And while she is coming out of a very strong barn in Danny Gargan, whose horses always tend to look very well turned out. Same thing for Rob Atchers. And the one thing I can say is with Battle Bling, as she's kind of second off that little bit of a layoff, she does look that much stronger in her hindquarters. I mean, she's really rounded out. She was moving very well with Trevor McCarthy, who gave her a wonderful warm-up. I like Battle Bling in here. And just want to note, we've heard in some of the write-ups that Claudio Gonzalez expressing a little bit of concern of Miss Leslie coming off Lasix, but she has run and won without it in the past. Now, on the opposite hand, number 6, It's Cold and DeHare, hasn't, at least as of, the last 2 years in her career, run without it. And as Linda Rice said to me in the paddock, she is a bad actor. She does get herself really revved up, and a lot of times the Lasix will kind of take that nervous edge off a horse. So she kind of expressed a little bit of concern with her having to run without it today. Greg?
Well, look, there's every race. There's question marks with every runner. For Ms. Leslie, Claudio Gonzalez, trainer, he was worried about the short comeback coming off the best figure of her career. There's the question of that Lasix and 1, yet she has won on it off it before. The last 3 starts, she's not run on it. She's been beat.
I think it's always listen, none of us are also saying it's the reason she's going to lose today. But
no, not
as
at all.
you say, the information matters, and I think it's important to point those things out. I think that too much is being made by a lot of people about the Lasix issue, that over time we have seen it seems to only matter when it matters. It never comes up when they run well without it, but it's still worth pointing out.
Public heavily backing the Maryland shipper, Ms. Leslie, our feature. The ladies. Let's go to Chris Griffin for the call.
All in line. All set for the ladies. And they're off, and stumbling there at the start was Exotic West, unseating Dylan Davis, who is right up on his feet. Didn't go down to the ground. But Exotic West unseating the rider out of the race at the back of the field. They work into that turn. It's Cold in DeHare is making a 3-wide move, is coming up to the leader, Vienna Code. They're 1-2 as they work around this first turn. Losing some ground was Battle Bling in between horses, is now in 3rd. In between those rivals of Miss Leslie, who's making a wide rally as they start to bunch up. Now a field of 5, and at the rail, the trailer, Kiss the Girl, and the loose horse there, Exotic West, is drifting out towards the outside as well, clear at the back of the field. They work up the backstretch, and on the front end, Vienna Code has got the lead, is up by 3/4 of a length. It's Cold in DeHare right there in 2nd. Then comes Miss Leslie alone in 3rd. At the rail is Kiss the Girl, who's in the 4th position, and the trailer is Battle Bling. 24-4 was that opening quarter. They went 50-4 for a half-mile time. On the front end, it's still Vienna Code. Vienna Code is a length in front. Right there in 2nd is It's Cold in DeHare with a half-mile left to go. Miss Leslie is 3 wide. Looking for room is Kiss the Girl. Battle Bling. The outrider has gotten to the loose racehorse, and they're into the far turn. In the ladies, Vienna Code and Eric Kensell, they've got the lead. Miss Leslie to the outside. It's Cold in DeHare is in between rivals. Kiss the Girl is rallying on, and here comes Battle Bling. Battle Bling is going to make a 4-wide rally as they approach the quarter-mile pole. Vienna Code still with the nose in front, but in an instant, Battle Bling is taking the lead, and Battle Bling out in the center of the racetrack is up by a length and a half. Battle Bling, Kiss the Girl, tips to the far outside, is chasing this rival. Miss Leslie down towards the inside. Vienna Code can find no more. 8th to go. Battle Bling is going to have to hold off an oncoming Kiss the Girl. Miss Leslie down towards the inside. Battle Bling is almost home. Kiss the Girl to the outside, and one final push. Miss Leslie, it's going to be Battle Bling to hang on by a head. Miss Leslie to the inside, then can Kiss the Girl in 1 minute 57.11 seconds.
That turned into a fun stretch duel. Miss Leslie looked like she was done. She tried to make a race of this late. Battle Bling too good, though.
I think Trevor McCarthy was saying himself in 16th pole, if I get beat here, I'm going to have to just like go over to Home Depot because I moved too soon if I got beat here. And we've come on the air for 3 races, and the same dude has been in the winner's circle for every single one of the races, Trevor McCarthy. You know, he tried to be aggressive with her. She didn't want any part of it, so he let her drop back to last. He made that move. She looked like she was going to win by about 6. And then suddenly she got a little leg weary. And, you know, it's funny. It's funny because it really looked like she was going to win easily, but they came to her and made it close.
Meanwhile, right out of the chute, inside post with a 1, Dylan Davis dumped from Exotic West. You'll see it right there. It goes to her nose.
He was dumped to his feet. He never even went to his knees.
Let's head downstairs to Maggie for an update.
Well, you guys said it. Dylan Davis with extreme athleticism, and you could see as soon as they sprung the latch, she was just not prepared and dropped right out beneath Dylan. So therefore, well, he just kind of went over this front end of her and landed on his feet. These guys are quite the athletes, and he's just walking back to the jockstream, and luckily Outrider caught up with Exotic West down the backside, so she did not luckily interfere with the running of this race, guys.
Yeah, that's the best news. And unfortunate because she was, look, she was overmatched probably in this spot, but she was coming off a win, and she was going to try and do a gate to wire. She would have been fun to watch.
You want to see her in there. You know, you want to know that you weren't good enough. You didn't learn anything there. And I thought Chris Griffin, who's filling in for John and Brielle, and I'm really very impressed with the work that Chris has done. He's been filling in when Johnny's been out at Belmont and here. He really picked up on this. You know, when it looked like this race from the 6th was going to drop, he saw right away that this was going to get close. And that's, you know, that's an announcer who's really at the top of his game.
Do you credit Ms. Leslie for digging back in and fighting, or do you think that Battle Bling was getting a little leg weary?
I think 1 1/8 is about as far as she wants. It's a good thing for her. They still don't run the lays at 1 1/4.
Might have gotten run down, no question, in that scenario. 4-5, 2-3, Battle Bling. Trevor McCarthy having a huge Sunday afternoon. Let's go back down to Maggie.
Here with winning trainer Rob Atras, and you picked her up. She ran really well behind a next time out stakes winner. You had to feel confident heading into this effort.
You know, we were. We looked at the nominations, and we thought that she fit really nicely with them, and we decided to take a shot, and it paid off.
1 1/8 almost got to her, though, Rob.
It did. You know, Trevor made a big move on the turn, and, you know, got a little anxious late, but he rode hard and kept her on, so it was good.
Congratulations. Really rewarded off the claim.
Thank you.
All right, Rob Atras getting a stakes win here with the ladies handicap with Battle Bling right to the winner's circle, guys.
Rob Atras continuing with that incredible momentum from a life-changing win last summer at Saratoga with Maracuja and the coaching club American Oaks, that upset of Malathot. Now he gets another stakes win here with a filly he just claimed last start.
And a very generous 870. I misread this race. I thought she and the 5 would be the same price, and that's why I picked the 5. That was a bad call by me.
Even money favorite. Beat.
Should we look at some quick will pays in these pick sixes?
Yes, please.
The 1 is 2,600, looks like the favorite. The 9 is 4,800. And the 10 is 6,400. The 5 is bet too at 3,000. But still, nice payoffs. Good luck if you're alive.
Back at Oaklawn. 6 furlong sprint. Coming up in the race, it starts the late pick 4. 50,000 starter allowance. By the way, the track has been upgraded to fast in Hot Springs, Arkansas. And herd immunity. How much have we heard that of late? This is the favorite.
Too much.
To claim, indeed. 3-time winner, the 5-horse, Florent Giroux, Richard Boltus.
Yeah. I do think, I mean, listen, if this horse is able to run back to the races in California, I mean, isn't it sort of a fait accompli that he's going to win? And it's one of these things that if he wins this race, it was a great claim because Richard Baltas had to claim him thinking, I'm going to go to Oaklawn where those purses are pretty lucrative and do well with him. We'll see, you know. He's just too fast for these based on the numbers he's running if he can run back those figs. But the 4 U.S. Steel is off the claim for Diodoro, and you're getting 6-1 on Diodoro off the claim, and he's such a dangerous man.
And that's, a horse who wants to try and pressure at least early on. But you heard Immunity. I'm surprised. Actually surprised at 3-2.
If Joel Rosario was on him and not the 1, he'd be 3-5.
Yeah, no question. Well, here's the one Rosario is on. This is AC Expressway, the one for Norm Cassie.
Boy, this horse has absolutely no speed. But, that's one thing. They're supposed to be moving up front. I mean, any of the 4, 8, and 9 can be forward in this race. And Herd Immunity's not slow either. So he may get some pace to run at, Greg. He'll need it, though.
9-2. Son of Mineshaft, who's just 1 for 13 coming in, and he's tackling, for the most part, just about everybody else in this group is a multiple winner, with the exception of Money Mike, the 8. Favorite just went by at 6-5. Post time coming up. And Florent Giroux will be aboard this one, who early on in his career, this horse was in graded stakes, back as a 2-year-old. Let's check in and get Jonathan's thoughts here.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with what Andy said. It's one of those situations where if the 5 runs any of the races, he ran out in California, he's going to be tough. And there's also just a natural switch to Richie Baltas is a switch that I respect if this horse was running out in Santa Anita. So you'd like to think that this potential claim for Richie Baltas was an idea to come to Oaklawn Park. The horse has been at Oaklawn working since December 21st as a lead up to this. I feel like the 5 is the horse to play, the horse to beat. It's just you got to decide whether or not you're good with the price or not.
Vic Stauffer, thanks, JK. With the call, here's race 6, start of the pick 4 from Oaklawn.
Money Mike is ready. Last to load, Deflator. They're at the post. They're off. Money Mike broke well and goes to the front from Tango Charlie away in second. Herd Immunity was shuffled back, and he is second to last. Up the backstretch with Money Mike and Tango Charlie, cold as hell between horses. And Tango Charlie puts his head in front. Then U.S. Steel and Deflator, followed by All the Diamonds. Ribbons and Medals has 2 beat. They are Herd Immunity and AC Expressway. Tango Charlie, cold as hell, and Money Mike right across the track. They are 2.5 lengths clear of U.S. Steel and Deflator. Another 2.5 to Ribbons and Medals. He's about 6 from the front and a length in front of All the Diamonds. At the back of the pack still are AC Expressway and Herd Immunity as they run around the far turn with Tango Charlie narrowly in front. Ribbons and Medals is 5th at this point, but he could get through into second soon at the rail, and he's on the move. So is AC Expressway, top of the stretch. Tango Charlie, Ribbons and Medals is coming after him in second. So is AC Expressway in third. Tango Charlie leads. AC Expressway tries to split horses, and he is going to do just that, and here he comes. AC Expressway to take the lead and win big. He won by 3 1/4. I think Ribbons and Medals just beat Tango Charlie for third, maybe Herd Immunity for 4th.
Slow start for the favorite Herd Immunity and never really got involved in this race. AC Expressway, Rosario, Norm Cassie the win.
Yeah, even though the 5 had a slow start and got a little trapped in the stretch, they went fast enough up front. He should have run a little more, but Joel Rosario sitting chilly. Get a little bit of a better price on him today, and happy for Norm Cassie. He hasn't run too many horses at Oaklawn, but every horse that he has run well. Congrats to him.
The one race where the public finally backs away from Rosario, he wins. Yep. 2 for 14 now. This 4-year-old son of Mineshaft, AC Expressway, owned by Garden State Derby Club. I think 5-1, the last number I saw.
Sounds very possible. 4-1. All right.
So right at his morning line. And a man that's expected to collect an Eclipse Award, the first of his career, in a very short amount of time. We'll have the prices set up the 7th when we come back. More coming up on America's Day at the Races right after this.
This is the horse.
He is just too good.
This is the horse who became only the second champion 2-year-old to win the Travers in 3 decades. This is the horse who is the only Breeders' Cup juvenile hero ever to lift the Belmont Stakes. History-making brilliance. That's his essential quality. Essential quality. This is the horse. Just imagine.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit nairabets.com.
And More Spirit takes over coming past the wire. It will be More Spirit to win the Los Alamitos Futurity by a length and a half.
This is just an unbelievable day for Bob Baffert and Mike Smith. They are unstoppable. More Spirit has dominated the Met Mile. He won it by 7 lengths.
For 3 generations, the Bond Racing Stable has held to a simple philosophy. If you take care of the horses, they will take care of you. That guiding principle drives every aspect of operations at the family's Songhill Farm and Racing Stables. From breeding to breaking, racing and retiring, our commitment to our horses is reflected in everything we do. Now you can join our Grade 1 winning team with racing partnerships starting as low as $3,000. Bond Racing Stables, 3 generations of thoroughbred excellence.
Good to have you with us on this Sunday afternoon. Nice look there at the hotel. One of the best views in all of racing in Hot Springs, Arkansas. More action coming up from Oaklawn. Still have their feature to come. It was AC Expressway in race 6 to kick off the late pick 4. Joel Rosario, Norm Cassie team up for the win.
Always has something for the end. And he got that fast pace. And nobody sits chillier than Joel. It felt like the number 2 horse was making that move as a winner. Joel, never afraid to cut the corner, saves all the ground here, able to angle out and get to the outside, split horses here as the leader was drifting. And vintage Joel, you know, he rides the rail with closers as well as any rider I've ever seen. You know, you look back on his win in the Allen Jerkins with Practical Joke. He took a horse who was dead last at around the 5/16 pole, and he cut the corner so adeptly on the rail that he went from last to like second, a length and a half off in the blink of an eye, because the way he cuts the corner, he's a brilliant, brilliant rider.
And he's going to be rewarded for it very shortly.
Yep. And rightfully so.
$10.40 for the win. AC Expressway, that of course with an Eclipse Award. We're going to preview that 3-year-old division and 2-year-old filly division as well, still to come. That one looks to be a lock as well, but that 3-year-old division wide open. 7th at Oaklawn, 6 furlongs, 50 maiden claiming race. And Camargo, Asmussen, Rosario. 2-1 right now.
Wow, there's a big scratch with the number 10 here. I wasn't supposed to be doing this, so I wasn't really on top of this.
Yeah, that's the Renee Amascua runner who was coming in from the West Coast. That one out, and Camargo taking a lot of play right now. Finale still to come, which means the pick 6 being closed out next.
Good Magic's in front. Good Magic pulls away from Solomini. Good Magic's gonna win his first race, and he's gonna do it in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile.
Good Magic to the front of the field in the Toyota Bluegrass to win it. The champ is back. Good Magic in a good-looking performance.
800,000, 75, 875, 8.5. Pete, 775,000. Thank you.
Back on America's Day at the Races. Program brought to you in part by NyraBets. Go to nyrabets.com, download the app, play along with us. Bonus 200, that code to use at sign up for new members. Final race on the card at Aqueduct. Plenty more coming up from Oaklawn, but the finale here in New York on a day where we had nearly a $43,000 carryover in the pick six, and that's one of the, well, right now is the favorite. Eddie the Great, horse to beat here. Rob Atras just won the feature, trying to take the late double here, first off the claim.
Yeah, I mean, drawing the rail helps. I suppose getting Lasix maybe helps. I don't know why this one is the favorite. Do you? Is it a lot of Eddies here today?
The mile race, I know it was against a lot better.
But he got drowned.
It was a muddy track.
He got drowned by Miracle Nicky.
Did not run well that day.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, this horse was claimed from Brad Cox. With all due respect to Rob Atras, that Brad Cox guy, he's pretty good. Is he a Eclipse finalist?
He
sure,
is.
I think he's a chance.
And the reigning Eclipse Award winner.
Feels like he's going to be a reigning two-time winner, I believe, by the time it's done.
Well, he's one of the contenders.
Oh,
but
no,
yeah,
no,
I
he
didn't
is.
see
I just don't
price,
see him at a short price here. But, you know, it is Eddie the Great, and as you've learned from me, those horses with common names, they always take a lot of money. You're beginning to see the light, Greg. I can see. You don't want to quite admit it yet, but you're seeing the light. Could be a lot of Nickies, yeah.
Here is Miracle Nicky. He's the favorite. Rudy Rodriguez, Tapiture for Rapoli Stable. Trevor McCarthy's been the hot hand.
Could take the whole final pick four. He's going to start paying us to be on every day, all day, sweeping the cards. He's doing so well, he's starting to make Joey Migliori look good. And that's not an easy thing to do.
His agent, they've been a formidable team since they've
they are. Joey's
wound up
guy.
together.
Trevor's terrific.
Initially, Trevor McCarthy, after meeting with him, didn't want to go with him, and he thought more about it and said, you know what, maybe this is a good thing. It's worked out pretty good. This was back on December the 10th and was forward in this race, wound up second behind Always Charming.
Yeah, the pace held up fairly well in here. I mean, if he's able to clear the lead and you think he's going to try, I guess Empire Statement and Jose Gomez, who's been aggressive, maybe he goes with him in here. I don't know if he's really fast enough to get with him. And if he ends up being the main inside speed, he could prove tough to catch. I prefer him to Eddie the Great. I think he's supposed to be favored over that one.
Resilient Courage. I'm surprised he's 7-1 on the 9 as well. We'll hear more about this group as we head downstairs to Maggie Wolfendale.
Checking in with the favorite down on the rail, at least the favorite as of now. That's number 1, Eddie the Great. And while I'm still under the impression that this horse is running on the wrong surface, considering his dam was a very proficient turf horse, that's neither here nor there. It's the middle of winter. We can't do that right now here for New York breds. I do think he is running at a more favorable distance, at least for him, in that I don't think he's a sprinting type. He's very tall, has that very even type of frame to him. He honestly looks much the same as what he did in his last start, which was for Brad Cox. And I understand, you know, being hesitant about taking a short price on him off of that trainer change, but I can also see him winning here because I just think that this is a better distance. Where on the flip side, I don't think it's a good distance for number 5, Miracle Nicky. I think this horse, the less ground, the better, being a son of Tapiture. He looks great, but he is about as quarter horse looking as you can ask a thoroughbred to look. He is about as wide as he is tall. His rear end is by far the biggest here in the paddock, and that just doesn't say long to me, at least from my observation. So we'll see what he does here. He does look to be the speed. As we'll check in with Rudy's other horse, that's number 10, Benchwalk. Certainly has a pedigree to stretch out in distance. Is a little bit of a smaller type, but is balanced. It does have more of an even frame. Now, last time he was very green at the start, and he was wanting to lug in while racing at the back of the field that day. Is equipped with blinkers this time around, just a shortcut cheater blinker, and wearing a ring bit. So we'll see if he behaves a little bit better and gets out of the gate with just a little bit more speed, as well as getting back to number 5. I also want to say he is a horse that is wearing some serious equipment as well for Rudy. Miracle Nicky kind of has that Halton bit, and I think has a burr on as well on that inside left rein. As we'll also check in with the lone first-time starter. That's number 4, Southern Civility, for trainer Pat Reynolds. It is a little bit more of a turf pedigree, and I could see him probably taking to the turf a little bit more than the main track here, but it does look like a horse that wants the distance. Very tall, leggy, looks as though he wants to run all day. Not getting the feeling that he's going to show that much early speed, as he does wear a pair of short cut cheater blinkers. Not one that I think is going to win first time out, but at least looks fit, has been well behaved here in the paddock, and could maybe pick up some pieces late, Greg.
Maggie, thanks. Post-parade coming up. We are 4 minutes away from this finale on the Sunday card here from New York on a Pick 6 carryover day. And favorite, as we see riders up, Jose Lezcano going to get on that Pat Reynolds firster, Southern Civility. But the 5, Miracle Nikki, remains the favorite.
I like the 9, Resilient Courage.
Especially at that price.
Yeah, I don't understand why this horse is that price. This horse is a dirt horse, and he's never run a maiden claiming race. A new gelding, I think on paper he's supposed to be one of the favorites. I'm confused as to why he's that big a price.
6-1 right now on Resilient Courage. I'm with you. Kendrick Carmouche on Eddie the Great from the inside. Rob Atras off the claim.
Well, Maggie is right. It's much more of a turf pedigree. We'll see.
Kong loves a fight, Orlando Noda.
Yeah, he might like a fight, but most of his fights have been for 5th.
Silver Mill, 6-1.
Well, my friend David Aragona likes him, and out of respect to him, I threw him in the double. I just don't see it.
Dirt debut coming up. Southern Civility, the firster for Pat Reynolds.
First-time starter. It's really more of a turf pedigree, at least in the dam side.
The favorite, this one right here for Rapoli Stable.
To try to wire the field, Maggie has her questions about him getting the distance, and that seems very fair.
Sell Something with Eric Cancel, Gary Siaka.
I know what they'd like to sell. This one for $40,000 today.
Debuted on turf in that first start against State Bred Maiden Special. Here's Empire Station, George Weaver.
Been a rough go for the Weaver barn so far at the Big A, where they are over.
Cagney?
Looking for Lacey.
There you go.
This is really not a pedigree. You know, the dam is an Oregon bred, in case you're interested. That's my useless piece of information.
Colorful Seattle.
Number 27 for the day.
6-1 on one we both like here, who's been in against better on this surface.
On a fair racetrack, I think this horse is way the horse to be. He's run against better horses. He had an excuse in his last dirt race. I think he makes a ton of sense.
And Benchwalk, start number 2, was 34-1 against better first time out.
But he's taken some money for a horse that ran as badly as he did. Manny Franco is riding. A big pickup, blinkers on, Lasix. I used him. I picked the race 9-10.
Still that one. Miracle Nikki. Maggie says built like a sprinter. We'll see if he can get the mile.
Has Jonathan changed yet?
JK?
I'm so glad Andy said that, because he said it before we switched channels. So I couldn't reference how ridiculous it was the first time because no one knew what I was talking about. Andy couldn't warm me up in the fashion department, but, you know, whatever. The one, Eddie the Great. This is a horse that doesn't break particularly quick. So from the inside, I'm not crazy about him down there. And he is too short for me for all the reasons the rest of the crew has kind of pointed out. The 5, Miracle Nikki, I was excited about until someone who I really trust, and Maggie Wolfendale, pointed out that the horse doesn't look like he wants to go this far. But maybe it doesn't matter. He just has to be faster than the other ones in here. And then the 9, Resilient Courage. It's a horse that I've learned this the hard way when it comes to horses that look like maybe they're turf horses, so you kind of dismiss them when they're running on the dirt. But he does have that one good dirt race. I think this is the winner towards the outside, the 9, Resilient Courage. And maybe this one will help the ROI for the day.
You
a lot of weight on the 9.
First of all, I was objecting to Jonathan's overall sense of style, though he's not nearly the dresser I am, but that's another issue. But, you know, it's just that shirt. I mean, Greg agrees with me on the shirt.
JK, I only jumped in because I had a similar shirt when I moved to a new school. I moved to a new school in 8th grade, and I just got relentlessly made fun of. But I initially liked the shirt because I bought it and wore it. But, yeah, I got made fun of.
Greg, you get made fun of. Greg's made fun of for a lot of things, Jonathan, so he's using the shirt as an excuse.
It's the first smart thing Andy said all day. Wolfie, it wasn't the shirt. That's just what they blamed it on. It had a lot to do with the overall vibe, I'd imagine.
He went home crying, and his mom said, "No, it's the shirt, honey. It's my fault."
That's just uncalled for, JK.
By the way, Maggie, Jonathan, and I all like the 9, and the horse is plummeting in price. He should be going up, not down, with the weight this poor horse is carrying. He's a logical horse, who's just too big a price, don't you think?
You asking me?
You, Jonathan?
I don't know if Jonathan's still with us. I like this horse a lot better
Jonathan
before I realized everyone on the program picked him. Prices come down now to 4-1.
What about the 10? Does Jonathan have any thoughts on the 10 here? I think the 10 is kind of has a wise guy look to him. That's why I left him in. I mean, this horse is getting better, right?
Yeah, I used. And one of the things I always, when there's a horse that I feel like looks extremely live, like the 5 Miracle Nicky, and the trainer enters another one, who knows the horse is better than the trainer? If he feels like Benchwalk, who it is a concern, took 0 money on debut.
Yeah.
But still, there's a little bit of a lean there. I see where you're coming from.
He broke about 3 lengths behind the field. He was atrocious after that, but he did break badly. And to be fair, he was 8-1 in the morning line, so he's a little below it. But I also thought Manny Franco riding him was a sign, right? I mean, this is a big rider change, and, you know, for Manny to ride it, they had to give him a little bit of a story, didn't they?
I would think so. Angel Cordero, obviously, Manny Franco's agent, so Rudy would have to call Angel and say, hey, I got one in the last, you know, I don't think Manny's necessarily going to get on something with no chance, but it happens from time to time.
Projection play, we'll see. Meanwhile, Trevor McCarthy trying to sweep the final 4 races on the card. He's won the last 3. He's on Miracle Nicky the 5, 4 Rudy Rodriguez, the much shorter price of the Rodriguez pair, 7-2. Quite an afternoon, regardless of what happens here for Trevor. And there he is in the Silk Rapoli stable. See if he can make it 4 straight to close out this Sunday here in South Ozone Park. Let's go upstairs to the birthday boy. Happy birthday, Chris Griffin.
All set. And they're off. Speed from in between horses there is Empire Station. Also Sell Something is now shuffled back. Miracle Nicky's going to drop over to the rail. It's going to be Miracle Nicky and Trevor McCarthy. They are up by a full length now as Eddie the Great tips off the rails into the 2-path and chases this leader as they get set to come out of the chute. Empire Station is now settled into the 3rd spot. Then comes Cagney, who's out wide in 4th. Moving forward is Resilient Courage, is way out in the center of the racetrack. Lime Sleeves, that's Benchwalk. He's now in the 6th position, just got passed by Sell Something down towards the inside. They're 3 clear from Southern Civility towards the back of the field. Silver Mill, and the trailer is Kong Loves a Fight. On the front end, it's Miracle Nicky, and Miracle Nicky is well in front. It's 2.5, 3 widening lengths. Eddie the Great is right there in 2nd. It's a big gap now to Empire Station in 3rd as they're really strung out. Cagney is taken 4th outside of Benchwalk. The rest with a lot to do with less than 4 furlongs to travel. They're into the far turn now. 48.37 for a half-mile time. Miracle Nicky and Eddie the Great gets closer. Eddie the Great is within 3/4 of a length of this leader. Miracle Nicky finds a bit more, though, and Miracle Nicky stretches it out again by a length. Empire Station is under drive. Cagney, Benchwalk, Resilient Courage. Towards the back, Kong Loves a Fight is rallying outside Southern Civility. Sell Something. The trailer is Silver Mill. 1/4 mile left to go. Miracle Nicky has got the lead. It's Miracle Nicky in front. Eddie the Great continues to chase out in the center of the racetrack. It looks like these two right now as they approach the 8th pole. Miracle Nicky has got a neck in front. Eddie the Great gets closer. Eddie the Great to the outside of a very stubborn Miracle Nicky down towards the inside. Miracle Nicky, Eddie the Great. Miracle Nicky, Eddie the Great. Miracle Nicky just keeps on finding. Late rally here from Kong Loves a Fight. Miracle Nicky, Trevor McCarthy, 4 on the day. Eddie the Great there for 2nd. Kong Loves a Fight. And Cagney in 1 minute 45.49 seconds.
Trevor McCarthy making all the right moves today. Takes the final 4 races on the card. Doing it, putting Miracle Nicky in the mix early here.
Trevor might have lost this race, but one thing he wasn't going to do was leave the rail. And I do think that made a real difference for him. They were flying up front, Greg. 48 and change on this racetrack. I mean, they came home in 57 and 57.12 for the last half. They went 9 seconds faster the first half than the second half. To make that fair, it's about 50 lengths. They were moving up front, but they gapped it out, and the only horse that made any kind of run there was Kong Loves a Fight.
Batman in the zone. He's been the story of this Sunday card. Trevor McCarthy went out to the West Coast, admitted that he made a mistake, decided to come back to New York. He needed ankle surgery, and he has come back and just had a terrific showing here on the New York circuit.
I couldn't be happier for him. I'm friendly with Trevor. I think he's the reason I'm friendly with him is that he has actively asked me my opinion of things going forward. And that's how we became friends. And it's not just because he shows respect. It's that I respect him, is that he's a thinking man's rider. When the track plays a certain way, Trevor's on top of it. I think Trevor deserves all the success he's having, and I believe that he has a very big future ahead of him. I love him as a rider, and he's a wonderful guy as well.
Congrats to him. Congrats to his agent, Joe Migliori. And what an afternoon. 4 consecutive wins to close things out. Back at Oaklawn, 7th race. 6 furlong sprint coming up, $50,000 maiden claiming race here. We talked about that big scratch of the 10. Would have been one of the major players in here. With him gone, Camargo, Asmussen, Rosario, the 4, taking a ton of money.
Well, he's dropping down and looking through the horses that are left, unless there's a first-time starter or something. I mean, only Treaty really has comparable figures, right? Why is Treaty 11-1, 17-1 here, by the way?
We'll get to him in a moment. Drag Malibu, first-time starter taking no money at 31-1.
You covered it there.
Coastal Chaos, Norm Cash.
Does get back to a fast track, so maybe that'll help him a little bit. His fast track race he was claimed out of from Todd Pletcher's good.
Drops in class. Summer in Malibu at 9-1.
I don't think he's totally impossible dropping. He's not that far out of it.
Cuts back in distance, too, gets Lasix. The favorite with Joel Rosario.
Who might have fight the Joel Rosario, Steve Asmussen freight train?
This one lowest level he's run at yet, start number 3. First-time starter here by Tonalist.
Is this one taking any money? Yeah, actually, this one's live, right? Trainer doesn't have much success with not that many first-timers and maiden claimers.
On your mark, get set, go. Lasix in a class drop.
Does not look good enough. First race in the turf was fast.
Mr. Frost, 23-1.
Don't see it off that debut where he was 80-1 and did no running.
Classic Shine, start number 2, and actually jumping up when he was beaten as the favorite in the debut.
Yep, coming off, this horse was claimed for Mike Maker, though, by a trainer who was 1 for 34 last year.
Got a big work from the 9 Bullet Drill back on December 27th.
Which is probably why this horse is 13-1. One of the 4 runners from the dam was okay. There's some pedigree in there, believe it or not.
Treaty drops from a straight maiden group.
This horse was 17-1 when we started, Greg, 10-1 right now. Why is this horse such a big price? This horse makes a ton of sense, right?
Amity Road, Brad Cox, first-timer, son of Street Boss.
Yeah, Brad Cox is Oaklawn Park, first-time stars, maiden claimers, dirt sprints, maiden claimers. He's 7 for 17 with a 298 ROI. That's strong.
And then the also eligible Elephant, Ingrid Mason, debuted for maiden 40 and showed ability in that race.
No, I agree. This is a dangerous horse getting in. Is the outside post scare you is a little bit of the question, right?
Yeah, going to be all the way, with the scratch in post 12. Amity Road, trained by Brad Cox, first-time starter. What a year it's been for Brad Cox after a career year when he won an Eclipse Award. 30 graded stakes wins for Brad Cox, same number he produced in his Eclipse Award winning year of 2020. Let's head to Gary Stevens for more.
Yeah, guys, it's a foregone conclusion, I believe, that Brad Cox is going to win the Eclipse Award this year after setting an earnings record for the annual year of 2021. But I don't like the action that I'm seeing on the board for Amity Road. He was 7-2 on the morning line. Usually when there's word out about one of Brad Cox's horses, they're hammering him down, and he started out at 7-2 and has drifted up. Last time I looked was 5-1. Let's talk about the 4-horse Camargo. Joel Rosario looking for his 3rd in a row, possibly 4th on the day with this horse. He ran for $150,000 maiden at Gulfstream Park. The 1st and 2nd place winner in that race. Both came back to win. So I'm liking this horse in here. And the 9-horse, I like Dr. Love. Dr. Love is a horse that his works were just average, but he kind of exposed himself 2 works back where he worked a half mile in 47. It was a bullet work of the morning. So interested in that one. What do you think, JK?
Yeah, this is one of those situations where I understand trying to beat a horse like the 4. We've talked about how overbet Camargo, the 4, how overbet Steve Asmussen and Joel Rosario have been. But if you look at the form, This horse ran for a tag last time. That was a $150,000 maiden. So that's basically a maiden special weight to me. There's not a whole lot of horses getting claimed out of those high-priced claiming races I had at Churchill Downs. In the 2 races this horse has run, the speed figures are significantly better than what most of these horses have run. And Joel Rosario is being overly bet at Oaklawn because he's really that good. And so I feel comfortable knowing that I'm taking a shorter price on a rider like Joel, who should be able to work out a trip. I tried to get cute with the 11. Andy mentioned that horse does make sense to me. I just feel like the 4 is likely to win.
Well, I'm going to miss the train.
So 10-1 on Treaty for Steve Hobby, who JK says does make a lot of sense. Double the morning line right now, despite the fact he's dropping out of a straight maiden race.
Yeah, I bet on Treaty in this race. I think it's ridiculous that he's this price. I do believe in speed figures, and I know Jonathan does too, and this horse just coming out of significantly better races. And I see no reason for this horse to be this price. I mean, to me, I don't love him in here, but I think he's supposed to be a fraction of his 9-1. I mean, if the 4 is 2-1, why is he supposed to be above 7-2? I get the 4 is Asmussen and it's Joel Rosario, but these are both horses that have not been competitive, particularly in the race they ran, but their figures make a lot of sense. And aren't you supposed to be looking at speed figures?
Treaty was in the same race as Camargo, Camargo's last start, and only, about a length and a half separated them?
Yeah, that's him trying to...
And by the way, it was start number 2 for Camargo. It was the debut for Treaty.
Yeah, I agree, and also had some trouble, according to at least the chart. Now, the charts in Churchill Downs often are like fairy tales, but I just don't see it. I don't see it at all. I just think this horse is an over. I don't think this horse. I know this horse is an overlay. To be honest with you, the horse that scares me is the 12 more than the 4. Obviously, the 4 can win, but the 12, the firster for Brad Cox. His numbers are just too good in these situations to ignore.
What'd you 7 for 17?
7
at Oaklawn
for
in
17.
claiming races? It's an incredible number. Miracle Nicky, by the way, back at Aqueduct, closing out the card on a pick 6 carryover day. We'll have those numbers in the pick 6. Should I give it away?
What? The pick 6?
Payout?
Go ahead.
Just over $3,000, $3,056 for the pick 6.
There were a lot of Trevor McCarthy horses in the last 4.
Incredible day for him. The last 4 on the card for Trevor. Here, though, as well, this also eligible draws in, who should show speed if he does what he did in his debut, and he hung around late in that race, too. 5-1 on Elephant.
Yeah, no, I meant to bet an exacta with the 10. I got distracted here.
So the favorite, Camargo, Asmussen, Rosario, Joel looking for his 3rd on the afternoon. There's that 11 who steps in, a rematch. Treaty, the 11, with Camargo. He's the much better price. We'll see if he can turn the tables, finish just behind him when they met back on November 24th. Joel stepping in on Camargo, the favorite. Let's go to Vic Stauffer. Here's the 7th from Oaklawn.
Millard's Smile. On your mark, get set, go. Last to load, Elephant. They're at the post. Amity Road, Restless. They're off. Elephant and On Your Mark, Get Set, Go shows speed. Drag Malibu's at the rail. Classic, Shine, and Treaty are close up. Then comes Summer in Malibu, Camargo, and Amity Road. Coastal Chaos is next. Then comes Mr. Frost, followed by Millard's Smile, and the trailer is Dr. Love. Up the backstretch they run as Drag Malibu moves through to challenge. Drag Malibu is the leader just by a head. A length and a half back to Elephant racing in second. Then comes further out and Treaty between horses Classic Shine and On your mark, get set, go. That's the horse that was outside of Drag Malibu, and now he's clear. On your mark, get set, go is the leader to the quarter pole. 2.5 lengths further back to Summer in Malibu, Mr. Frost, and Dr. Love, who's moving up. Here's Dr. Love in the red in the center of the racetrack within 5 of the lead, held by On Your Mark, get set, go. On your mark, get set, go has the lead. Dr. Love continues to close. He's in the center, as is Drag Malibu between horses. These three to the final 16th. Dr. Love way in the center of the racetrack. He and Drag Malibu are the two. Dr. Love, Drag Malibu, a late run from Summer in Malibu. Dr. Love. I think Dr. Love won it, but Drag Malibu ended up making it very, very close. Summer in Malibu third, maybe Amity Road for fourth.
Dr. Love, I believe, getting this one a first-time starter, but wow, Drag Malibu made this really close late.
Yeah, despite the announcer acting like it was a fait accompli, it actually was close. It was close to this point. 9 seemed to have the momentum, but then was hanging a bit at the wire, and the 1 came back. I think the 9 held on as well, but it was close.
18-1 or 43-1 if it's the 1. Wow. 2 huge numbers here.
I didn't have it.
In the 7th, not many did.
4 was never in it. The 11 ran a little for about a half mile, but then 4 never ran a step.
Very tight there.
Yep.
Luis Quinones on Dr. Love. Christian Torres on Drag Malibu. I'll take this exacta either way. Another look here. I don't know if this angle is going to help us.
Nope, it won't.
Horse who was purchased, Dr. Love.
It'll deceive you, but it won't help you.
For a mere $2,500.
Had that work that you mentioned. This horse was way on the outside. Actually left the screen.
All right, so we'll wait and see. Cameras following Dr. Love. We'll make it official as soon as we hear. We're going to say goodbye to you. See you next week on Friday.
I'll see you on Friday.
Maggie Wolfendale joining me after a short timeout. A lot more coming up. Features still ahead. From Oaklawn, stick with us. You're watching America's Day at the Races on FS2, regional networks out in Southern California as well. We'll talk 3-year-old division next.
This proven son of Giants Causeway has sired 7 millionaires. With over 10% stakes performers, his recent top runners include Tarabi, placed in the Grade 1 Spinaway and Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, Grade 2 winner Plum Ali, multi-millionaire Shivaji, plus these standout performers. Now his biggest book in the past decade will be 3-year-olds in 2022. A proven value sire, First Samurai, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Need help in finalizing your picks for the next race? Check out the Track Master selections provided by Equibase on every U.S. thoroughbred and harness track on Naira Bets. Use these selections to get quick expert advice from professionals in the business. Check out the thumbs up graphic next to the pick and the wager pad and scroll down for more details on the horse. Track Master selections available on Naira Bets and the Naira Bets app.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than America'sBestRacing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. America'sBestRacing.net is a sport for you. Live it, love it, bet it.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. Use promo code TRYRTN for a 5-day free trial.
Son of Warfront, the sons have done well. War Command, the Factor, declaration of war. There have been a number of sons now that seem to be getting it done. He himself was, again, versatile like Catholic boy. I mean, he won the Preakness.
But nothing stood in his way. War of Will won the Preakness.
He came back at 4 and won a grade 1 on the turf, going a mile. You know, he's got a big page that's from one of the good Niarchos families.
Look, he was a grade 1 stakes horse at 2. He was a classic winner on dirt at 3. He won a grade 1 on turf at 4. He offers that versatility. He looks a lot like Warfront with a little more stretch and a little more leg. And I know a lot of the knocks against the Warfronts are that sometimes a little small, a little racy. If he throws Warfront's ability and talent with his kind of physique, I think we'll be in really good shape.
Our program brought to you each and every day by legendary Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. Joining me on set, good to see you, Maggie Wolfendale. How you doing?
Good to see you, Greg Wolf. I'm good. I'm trying to thaw out between my hands and my feet. Definitely a little chilly out there, but glad to be back racing after having to cancel yesterday. Yesterday, the wind was just a major factor. A lot more still today.
And we close out the card in New York. We'll have those payoffs from the Pick 6 carryover coming up in a moment. Still have the feature ahead at Oaklawn to come, which is a difficult race to try and solve. We'll talk more about that in just a little bit. We saw Dr. Love win at Oaklawn in a photo finish here. A couple of first-time starters duking it out, 18-1 and a 43-1 shot.
Yeah, the son of Cairo Prince having to rally wide here with Mr. Quinones aboard. Really wide, actually. It looked as though he was going to get a hot dog. As we saw number 1, as you mentioned, Greg, Drag Malibu, kind of splitting horses there. But Dr. Love, you know, if you went by his work tab, 2-back, 47 flat, best of 73. It seemed as though they were trying to cover him up in some of his other workouts, but he got up just to put his head down in time. But a valiant effort, too, by the one-horse Drag Malibu, and a serious exacta payoff.
Over $1,000 for a $2 exacta play. Not many probably came up with that one. Dr. Love, impressive, though, first time out. So was Drag Malibu. That's one to watch first. Next time out, you're not going to get anything near what you got today. And Summer Malibu, they're checking in third. Let's go back to New York, wrap up their program. Miracle Nikki. How about Trevor McCarthy winning the final 4 on the card?
Incredible. What a feat. I mean, you can even say it's a natural hat trick. It's better than that. As he guided Miracle Nikki, he had a plan out of the gate, get this horse on the front end, which is probably what he ultimately wanted to do. They flew early. He strung out the field, and he was able to last and hold off the one, Eddie the Great, late in the game here. The only horse to make up any ground is number 2, Kongla's a Fight, rallying from well back. But Trevor McCarthy, Rudy Rodriguez, they team up for a second win on the card.
And a crafty ride, too, as you look at the payoffs here from Trevor, because as you talked about with this horse, probably overcoming what he probably wants to do anyway. Didn't really look like he was a horse that wanted to go longer, right?
Yeah, I mean, that was the only way he was going to win, is Trevor being aggressive, riding what seems to be a favorable inside position on this Aqueduct course.
There's that Pick 6 return, just over $3,000 if you could come up with this on probably a single for a lot of people. What do you think now? Had that second to Happy Medium, one of the top sprinters here on the East Coast. And then if you could come up with the other 5, over $3,000.
Yeah, nice payout. But what do you think now? He really ran today, really ran well. And I think it speaks volumes for Happy Medium, as you were mentioning, a horse that has to have greater stakes in his future.
Eclipse Awards on the horizon, and one of the most interesting divisions of well, yeah, I guess it is.
I think.
This 3-year-old picture, because you can make a case really for all 3 of them in here. Essential Quality, what a year he had. The 2-year-old champ. Can he do it again and win a 3-year-old championship? Travers win, Belmont Stakes win, Jim Dandy. But then what happens when you look at the Classic? Does that hurt him?
Yes, because the voters seem to only pay attention to that first weekend in November, Greg. A lot of them do. I should say not all. This is by far the most contentious division, I think. The maybe slight knock against Essential Quality is he never beat older horses, which I think is something that people do pay attention to. He beat the best of his generation, I think, although unable to ever get his head in front of Medina Spirit, a controversial winner of this year's so far yet not quite official winner of this past year's Kentucky Derby. But life is good. he beat Olders twice.
He did. I don't know how you can vote for Medina Spirit when this horse beat him twice in the same calendar year.
I mean, at
and
the
there are
end
only
of the
two
day,
meetings.
Exactly. At the end of the day, I like Essential Quality. I think, his merits and the fact that Godolphin's up for Breeder and Owner of the Year and likely to win those heats in the Eclipse Awards. But this horse, as far as resumes are concerned, I know it was abbreviated, I know it was interrupted, but when he showed up and ran, especially now being trained by Todd Pletcher.
And then, of course, Medina Spirit, Kentucky Derby win that's still in question, may wind up going to Mandaloun, but did beat older horses in the Awesome again. It did finish ahead of Essential Quality in the Classic.
I think he had the more advantageous trip, albeit in the Breeders' Cup Classic, but a lot of controversy surrounding him.
We're going to take a time out. New audience joining us right after this.
Run Happy is the #1 second crop sire by stakes winners, graded stakes winners, and earnings. Run Happy is represented by Smile Happy, the Kentucky Derby individual Future Pool 1 favorite. A leading dirt sire and now with an exciting Kentucky Derby hopeful. Call Bernie Sams now and book your mare to Eclipse champion Run Happy right now. Run Happy standing in stall 1 at Claiborne Farm.
Welcome to those just joining us on FS1. Good to have you with us. Those already with us on Valley Sports Southern California and San Diego. Oaklawn Park, their feature. Coming up next on this Sunday afternoon from Mountain Hot Springs, Arkansas, Greg Wolf alongside Maggie Wolfendale. We have Jonathan Kinchen, Hall of Famer Gary Stevens with us as well. This next race ahead at Oaklawn, a favorite who has a lot of questions to answer.
Yeah, and two, as you guys were discussing earlier on the show, the Joel Rosario factor, likely Eclipse winner in just a week. Isn't it in a week? But he is aboard a horse for trainer Ron Moquette that has not won as of late. And while he was in very good form in 2020, Greg, it has just steadily declined from there.
Yeah, he was in such good form. They briefly tried him on the Triple Crown Trail against the likes of Art Collector. That didn't go well, but he deserved that shot as good as he was running. But that recent form has just dissipated. Here's a look at what's ahead, presented by Claiborne Farm. Races 8 and 9. That 8th, the feature with Man in the Can, who we were just touching on. Joel Rosario will ride for Ron Moquette. That's in the 8th, traveling a mile on a 16th track fast. Been upgraded a little bit earlier on today in Hot Springs. You can play all these races by getting signed up and started with Naira Bets. Go to nairabets.com, download the app, take advantage of that offer, that $200 sign-up bonus with the code for new members, bonus 200, and bet any track, anywhere, anytime. There's Supercharger in this race coming up. It's an allowance optional claiming group for Arkansas bred company. So state breds here going a mile and a 16th. And this one of several in this race. That's sort of the common theme. Everybody seems, for the most part, to be stretching out in here.
Yeah, but he does, Supercharger, Greg, look to be the speed of the speed in here. He has speed going shorter, so why wouldn't he have it going this 2-turn mile and a 16th with Ramon Vasquez aboard? I think, based upon his last effort, which granted was over a muddy sealed track and probably meets some more talented runners here in this affair, I really liked the way he ran that day, and I do think he has won at this distance in the past. While maybe his recent form isn't quite as good at longer distances, I think he controls here. And I think it just makes his job that much easier.
Meanwhile, this 4-horse, KJ's Nobility, when he went long, the last time he went long, he was beat by Man in the Can, but he ran a very good race. He was only beat a neck. The difference with KJ's Nobility and Man in the Can, KJ's Nobility, his form is held of late, even though he's been sprinting. He, two-back, faced Mucho, who just ran lights out in the 5th season yesterday.
He's an open
He's run
stakes
big
winner
against CZ Rocket, who until a few days ago was one of the best sprinters in the country. He had a poor performance in his comeback as an 8-year-old. This was a major player at 5-2.
What's strange is, though, is that Man in the Can seems to have his number. Even though with outside races, KJ's Nobility seems to have the better resume, but KJ's Nobility, he has primarily been running shorter. He goes out for a new barn in West Holly, and 2, he has that layoff to contend with, Greg.
Let's check in with Jonathan Kinchen. JK, if this race was going to decide a betting challenge, how in the world would you play this one?
I'd go all in. That's the trick, Wolfie. You got to be willing to lose all of your money to win these big betting challenges. And I would start with the conversation with a horse like the 4 KJ's Nobility. From a speed figure standpoint, which is something that I lean on heavily, which is a number very similar to a quarterback rating in football. The higher, the better. I'm looking for horses that can run fast races and have done it consistently. KJ's Nobility has done that before. Now, I'm curious to see what's going to happen switching barns, because sometimes that can be a plus and can be a minus. But my conversation about this race definitely starts with the 4 KJ's Nobility from a speed figure standpoint. I guess if you were going to lean or look elsewhere, the 2, another one that has some speed figures that kind of jump out, or at least the last speed figure jumps out. But you have to start to question, where did that performance come from? Because this horse is drawn towards the inside, and I question the last figure, that's why my lean is going to be towards the 4 KJ's Nobility. I like the fact that he's drawn outside of that main competition.
8-year-old who's going to try and pick up the 10th win of his career, KJ's Nobility. They're out on the track. Our post parade here coming up in a moment. I guess it's the Rosario factor. Yeah. But it's surprising to say. Man in the Can's one of the players for sure, but the recent form is not there to make this horse 2-1.
Now, maybe you could say he's a little bit dirtied up for the fact that he was sprinting last time. First start off a little bit of a layoff. Before that, he ran on the turf. But that Indiana Grand race was bad. Granted, Spa City, who won that, is a decent runner. And before that, his 2 races or 3 races against Arkansas Company in early 2021 were okay. I mean, Tempt Fate just was the best of that division last year. There's no Tempt Fate in here. So it is tough to take a short price on him, Greg. I think that's the biggest problem.
Making the turn. Here comes our post parade. We'll start with Mo Betta. And actually, his route races have seemingly been a lot better.
Yeah. I mean, he won, and the other one, he lost the crop. So therefore, maybe you could say that affected him a little bit. But it seems as though he should be running in route races all along.
Yeah, long shot with a look at 13-1. Here's Supercharger coming off a win sprinting.
I like this horse, Greg. I think he's on his toes. He looks great, and he's kind of has the most trustworthy recent form, though he hasn't run quite as fast as some of the favorites.
All or nothing with the 3. 2 wins. The other 10 starts has not hit the board. And here's KJ's Nobility.
It's the layoff factor. With an 8-year-old, you kind of rely on muscle memory, but it's a new barn as well. I respect him, but I just thought at a short price, I was willing to take the 2.
10 months away for the 4. Here's Dinner at Crumpy's, another one who has shown some ability going long.
Yeah, stretches back out in distance. Has to do it, though, off a layoff.
Big price, though, on a horse that has an outside look. Just a one-time winner, though. Implicator at 6-1.
Implicator's a little bit interesting. He has some figures against Open Company, albeit at Remington Park, that make him a player here. His last race wasn't great, though. It was a slow pace he was unable to close into.
Here's Rosario looking for number 3 on today's card, teaming up with Ron Moquette.
Can he get back to some of his better form? Big question with him today.
And 501, this is an 8-year-old who actually won the Rainbow Sprint Stakes in the second career start at this racetrack.
That's impressive to do in just your second career start. But, Greg, his best races seem to be coming shorter than this.
Still man in the can, who's favored. Let's check in with our Hall of Famer, Gary Stevens, for more.
The guys, I like JK and I like KJ's Nobility, both of them. The person and the horse. I like this horse, but the one thing that worries me about him is when he's come off of layoffs in the past, it's taken him a race to come back to his form, but his form has held up over the years. I like him in here. I also like Implicator. Implicator, he likes to run second. That's the problem. So I'm going to go KJ's Nobility and Implicator to finish in second. JK?
All right, we'll try and get back to Jonathan in a moment if we have the opportunity. So, Implicator, interesting, Gary mentioned, but yeah, those 6 seconds in 14 starts, kind of hard to get around.
Yeah, and he's going to need a little bit of pace to fall apart into his lap here, Greg, and maybe he gets it. Maybe Man in the Can applies a little bit of pressure to the likely pace setter in Supercharger, and KJ's Nobility, he isn't that quick, but he is off of a layoff, so sometimes you see horses a little bit fresher then, although he didn't seem to be possessing that much energy as far as the prelims, watching him in the paddock and out on the racetrack. So, like I said, I thought Implicator interesting, but for what Gary said, he doesn't like to win, and 2, it's just, does he get the right kind of setup here?
Minutes a post coming up, and I want to point out the 5-2 just quickly, Dinner at Crumpy's. It was Louisiana Downs, but it was Open Company, an allowance race, and going a mile and 70 yards. Decent effort, but he had to be forward that day. Just too much company for him up front, you think, early here?
I just don't think he's fast enough. He could be. I mean, maybe we see Giovanni Franco. Maybe we should ask Gary if he knows what's going on with this horse. Maybe Giovanni will be aggressive with him. I know that Supercharger is fast. As far as time for you, Form U.S. pace figures, he is by far the fastest early in here. So I'm going to lean heavily on that and hope that Ramon is able to dole out those fractions and take them gate to wire.
Yeah, that's the 2 who Maggie's talking about at 5-2. I mean, this horse has 5.5 furlong sprint speed and the ability in that kind of race to be in front. So you would think, no question, going a mile and a 16th here, he's going to be the one leading the way. He's won at this distance, but his last couple of starts going longer have not made you feel good about the distance.
No, and maybe that's a reason not to take him here. Though, going back to 2020, he did run well, winning an allowance race. And maybe, yes, he was nowhere near Man in the Can and KJ's Nobility that day, but maybe he's turned into a better horse. We're 2 years on from that now, and his recent form kind of hints at that. Maybe I'm way off the mark here. Maybe he will get more company with, as you mentioned earlier, several horses stretching out in distance, but at least there's a lot of picket fences early on in his running lines, which indicate that he is the fastest. So I don't know. It's hard for me to trust and take Man in the Can at 2-1.
Well, you wanted to hear the word from the source. Gary Stevens, a busy man at this meet, representing a couple of riders, and yes, one of them, Giovanni Franco, on the 5 Dinner at Crumpy's. Gary.
Yeah, the trainer, Tammy Hornsby, she came to me earlier in the week on entry day, and she said, are you interested in riding a horse, Dinner at Crumpy's? Said, look, he's eligible for a one other than. He's going to need a race more than likely. Would you mind giving him a shot, see how he runs? But she said if he doesn't run well, even if he runs well, he's eligible for the one other than condition, which is going to be a much easier spot than the place he's in today. But I think he's not without a chance in here, guys.
19-1. Interesting the way he's run going longer. We'll see if he can step up at this level. There are certainly some reasons to like him, however. Saying goodbye to those on FS2. We're going to continue on FS1 in just a moment. And I was not kidding, literally a moment. And we were back already. So good to have you with us. If you just switched over from FS2, glad to have you with us. Our feature race from Oaklawn is coming up here, a mile and a 16th in this allowance optional claiming field from Hot Springs, Arkansas. Greg Wolf, Maggie Wolfendale, Gary Stevens, Jonathan Kinchen with you on this Sunday card. And it's still man in the can. This 7-horse who back in 2020, they briefly tried him after 3 consecutive wins, impressive wins, all at Oaklawn. They tried him in the Bluegrass, one of those wins, I should say, at Churchill, but they tried him in the Grade 2 Bluegrass against Art Collector.
And he didn't run much that day, but he did run well in that Open A other than against an Ohio Derby winner in Dean Martini. And Man the Can is a horse that he's by Can the Man, who predominantly throws more sprinting types out of a Smoke Glacken mare. You would think, given that pedigree, he would be a better sprinter, but he has shown the ability to get the job done at these distances. And Ron Moquette is a trainer who kind of builds his horses up a bit more. So I would think that possibly using that December 12th race sprinting, maybe a race to kind of just get him back in the game a little bit. And 2, with these Arkansas breds, there's only limited opportunities, obviously, with only being the racetrack in Arkansas is Oaklawn, and they're running for insane amount of money, $101,000. The purse here for this Arkansas bred allowance race. So I get it. A lot of horses kind of forced to go in these races, maybe at distances or conditions that aren't most favorable to them.
Man in the Can, Joel Rosario looking for number 3 on the afternoon, teaming up with Ron Moquette. Break from post 7. Let's go to Vic Stauffer, the feature on this Sunday card from Oaklawn.
They're at the post. They're off. Man in the Can and Supercharger break best. Dinner at Crumpy's a close third. Mo Betta and 501 with KJ's Nobility and Implicator. And the early trailer is Amazing Wisdom. Man in the Can quicker than Supercharger. He crosses and clears. Supercharger didn't like that much. Threw his head in the air, and now he's rank under Ramon Vasquez. So Man in the Can gets the jump to the backstretch. He is the leader by a length and a half from Dinner at Crumpy's and a pumped-up Supercharger. 2.5 lengths to 501 and Mo Betta. They're together 4th and 5th and about 5 from the front. KJ's Nobility has 8 lengths to make up. He's 2.5 in front of Implicator, and Amazing Wisdom is the trailer, and the leader is Man in the Can. Man in the Can to the half-mile pole with a 2.5 length lead over Dinner at Crumpy's in second. Supercharger is now back in third clearly, and he's about 4 from the front. He'll have to go from there. 501 and Mo Betta have 6 lengths to make up. KJ's Nobility about to join those two. And here's KJ up into 4th. He's got some forward momentum. Then comes Implicator and Amazing Wisdom, Man in the Can, and Joel Rosario to the quarter pole with links to work with. He's got a 5-length lead. Supercharger just went into second, but he's completely all in. KJ's Nobility is next. Top of the stretch, Man in the Can is the leader. A final 3/16 to get, and still a 5-length advantage over Supercharger and KJ's Nobility. Dinner at Crumpy's, Man in the Can to the final 16th, and he is home. Man in the Can now 8 in front. Supercharger and KJ's Nobility battle for second. Man in the Can in front. Man in the Can won by 7. Supercharger was second. KJ's Nobility third. Dinner at Crumpy's finished 4th.
One of the best in the business, Joel Rosario, and probably felt he was on the best horse, said, don't mess around, I'm just going to go straight to the front.
That's what I get for trying to go against Joel. That's why one rider is a likely Eclipse Award winner and one is not. I'm sorry, Ramon Vasquez, that was not your most brilliant moment. And I get it. You don't want to get locked in a speed duel. But Supercharger really ran well, considering he was supposed to be on the lead. He had his face ripped off going around the turn, and he still kicked on, and albeit a well-beaten second, still ran well to be second to get the nod over KJ's Nobility for the minor awards, but all about Man in the Can, and Joel Rosario is the man.
5 wins now from 15 starts. I mean, that was just a dominant performance, loose on the front end. And usually when Joel makes that little look back, it's a good sign. There was no one in the same area code.
What I love about Joel is he truly is a horseman's rider, in that he's never going to, he's always going to give his horse his best shot. And, you know, sometimes when riders, you see them open up by 5 lengths and they're all in and they're whipping and driving, and you never see that with Joel. So he always leaves his horses with a little bit left in the tank.
Yeah, no question. Moquette Rosario, and a 5-year-old son of Can the Man, wins for the 5th time in his career. Prices and the nightcap will set it up when we return here on America's Day at the Races.
I'm very bullish on it.
Tom's Dayta's got a 4-length lead at the 16th pole. Tom's Dayta has conquered the Clark.
Your best horses of the last 10 or 15 years are not consistently as fast as this horse.
It's total domination for Tom's Dayta.
He's a beautifully balanced horse and a really good mover, and he's just full of class.
Resorts World Catskills, your closest casino resort experience, is so close. Stay the night and get your game on. Play live table games or thousands of slots. Resorts World Catskills.
Spun to run. In the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, he defeated a loaded field that included multiple Grade 1 winners Omaha Beach and Improbable. His brilliant speed figures were among the fastest of any 3-year-old at a mile or more. And he hails from the legendary Danzig sire line. Multiple graded stakes winner, millionaire, Breeders' Cup champion, Spun to Run, standing at Gainesway.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit nairabets.com.
Back at Oaklawn, feature in the books here on America's Day at the Races. Program brought to you by Naira Bets, and it's the favorite man in the can who delivers in the Sunday feature. Ron Moquette in 3-win afternoon for Joel Rosario, who just came back on Friday after being out since December 2nd with that hairline rib fracture.
Yeah, and, you know, already we saw a little bit of the effect of maybe his horses getting overbet, but this is his 2nd winner on the card at Oaklawn today. So once you get that 3rd win of the day at Oaklawn Park, thank you for that, Greg. It's hard to pay attention when you're in the paddock to Oaklawn, sorry. And once you get that first win out of the way, which he did yesterday, it just seems to flow so much easier. You get back in your rhythm, and there's no doubt about it that Joel has.
Going to be riding full-time at Oaklawn. There's a lot more pictures he's going to be taking at this meet.
Oh, yeah, for certainly. Typically riding the favorite with his longtime agent, Ron Anderson, one of the best in the game, you know, doing and kind of pulling the strings over there at Oaklawn Park, and to riding for such top outfits as Ron Moquette, Steve Asmussen, and the Brad Cox barn.
And there's not a person who knows Joel that doesn't absolutely love him. He always has a great attitude.
Always
got a smile on his face. I feel for him a little bit, too, because he was chasing 3 separate records. A total stakes win in a year, graded stakes wins, earnings record, and just the fact that he didn't get to try and finish that chase. I'm sure he feels it, but he's got to, I'm sure, going to go after it again this year coming up.
Exactly, and he did. He won the Breeders' Cup Classic with Knicks Go, which kind of really cemented his likelihood of winning that Eclipse Award. And 2, though, you know, Gary Stevens brought it up yesterday that I know it wasn't a planned break, but sometimes when you're riding so hard, and he traveled more, I mean, he has more frequent flyer miles than any other jockey that we see in this country. And sometimes, even though it's an unplanned break, a break will do you good. Just refresh your body, refresh your mind. And Joel looking to kickstart a very successful 2022.
Rider at the top of his profession and who's at the height of his powers really right now. And it's just amazing to think that he's a lock. you would think, to win this Eclipse Award, but that he has not won one before.
It's insane.
As good as he is.
Right. And a lot of times people just looking at money won, and sometimes he wasn't. He definitely won it this past year, but just such a good rider. So tactically adept and just really fun to watch. You know, he really makes you want to watch his horses and want to watch races that he's participating in.
Well, his work done for the afternoon. 3-win day for Joel. We're going to take a timeout. When we return, we'll talk more Eclipse Awards 2-year-old champ. Will it be Corniche? We know it's going to be Echo Zulu. Stay with us.
Warfront. This son of Danzig ranks among the world's elite sires, ranked #1 by percentage of stakes winners, graded stakes winners, and Grade 1 winners. No stallion has a better strike rate. Recent top runners include Group 1 winner Homesman, graded stakes winners Master of Foxhounds, Ancient Rome, and Bombard. Plus Annapolis, who became his sire's 100th stakes winner. In the auction ring, his progeny continued to command top dollar. Warfront, standing at Claiborne Farm.
We're back on America's Day at the Races on FS1, regional networks out in Southern California. Program brought to you by Naira Bets, where you can play all the races we bring you each and every day on the program. Talk more Eclipse Awards, February 10th, by the way. Going to be late this year for the Eclipse Awards.
Yeah, that threw me off a little bit.
Out on the West Coast. And let's talk 2-year-old divisions. It's going to be hard to deny both these 2-year-olds in their respective divisions. Corniche, perfect campaign for Bob Baffert that included 2 Grade 1s.
Yeah, 3 for 3. Really did nothing wrong. Won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. And he's likely to, you know, it's a shame that we didn't see him match up against Jack Christopher, who was so impressive in winning the Grade 1 Champagne. Unfortunately, had to be scratched early from the Breeders' Cup Juvenile due to an ankle injury. Hopefully we see him back for a 3-year-old campaign. But look, he ran a 98 first time out, which was faster than most of the 2-year-olds, except for Jack Christopher throughout last year. So yes, as far as having a kind of complete campaign, he fits the bill.
And he won on the biggest stage as well. Jack Christopher, he just came back to Chad Brown, but Chad feels he's going to be under the gun to try and get this horse to the Kentucky Derby.
I don't think he should be. And Chad is very good at that, though, at letting his horses speak to him. He is patient with them. You know, he's a horse that I do question his overall want to get anything more than a mile. So take your time, Chad. Jack Christopher is a very talented horse, and I would hate to see him kind of thrown into the deep end of the pool, not ready. But like I said, Chad is going to do what is best for the horse. He is very talented.
Why he won 4 straight Eclipse Awards as outstanding trainer. But yeah, we can't wait to see him back. And to see those two battle would be a lot of fun because Jack Christopher, a ton of talent. Meanwhile, modern games, the biggest controversy horse from the Breeders' Cup weekend.
Which isn't his fault. It's so not his fault at all. Obviously, he did win the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, in which he ran, or Turf, in which he ran for purse money only because there was this big problem, and they thought he was the one who, came out of the front end of the gate, so therefore they were going to scratch him, so then he had to run for purse money only, blah, blah, blah. It was a lot of controversy, but a very nice horse. And what about Charlie Appleby? I mean, every horse he brought to the U.S. throughout the year ran huge, and just to be one of the top earners as far as purse money is concerned in this country, where he doesn't even have horses stabled for the most part, is really quite a feat. And it's tough, though, to endorse a horse who did most of his running outside of this country as the Eclipse Award winner.
And by the way, Appleby, all his winners, by the way, same sire, Dubawi.
He's an incredible sire. His sire, Dubai Millennium, his stud career cut short, but probably the single most impressive Dubai World Cup winner.
Meanwhile, 2-year-old filly division, it is already a wrap. Everyone knows what's going to happen in here. Echo Zulu, from the very first moment we saw her when she debuted at Saratoga, this was the amazing thing to me. She's been sensational. She did not go off the favorite in that first start.
That is insane. Who was favorite? That her stablemate, wasn't it, Lady Scarlet?
Yeah, it was.
I think it was. She has just been sensational. I mean, winning by open lengths with just complete command over her rivals, and that speaks of how much superior she was over this 2-year-old class. She is much a deserving winner of this year's Eclipse Award.
Got a faster figure on Breeders' Cup Day than Corniche did.
Right. She just dominated, and look, she beat Juju's Map that day by 5 1/4 lengths. Juju's Map, she's going to be a distant. Does she even, garner the second most amounts, if any? Here's a question for you: do Pizza Bianca and Juju's Map get any votes?
To win it?
Yeah,
no, it should be it should be a clean
landslide,
sweep.
right?
And if it's not, I want to know who had that vote, because you can't make the argument
at all.
Yeah.
You can't.
Excited to see Echo Zulu come back. Look, they had tremendous years too, and Christophe Clement, that was a breakthrough win for him with Pizza Bianca finally putting that to rest, that he can win the Breeders' Cup program. So good for him. But Echo Zulu, just a superstar, and I hope she comes back as good as she was at 3 as she was at 2.
It's always a question, Greg. Do they mature? Do they get faster as 3-year-olds? And that's a question she's going to have to answer. But talk about, too, what a year her sire Gunrunner had with his freshman crop.
Yeah, just amazing. Who, of course, was trained by Steve Asmussen, and for him to win with some big races, and that was his first Grade 1 winner, right, with a Gunrunner?
Yeah.
Just incredible.
Yeah.
We're going to take a timeout. We'll be back. We still have the nightcap coming up from Oaklawn. Stay with us. Claiming race for non-winners of 3 lifetime ahead. At 1 1/16. We'll get to the post parade from Hot Springs, Arkansas when we return right after this on America's Day at the Races.
Start spreading the news. If you're looking to win in New York, then breed in New York. To War Dancer, the millionaire son of Warfront, and New York's #1 sire of 3-year-olds. Breed to a proven performer, the #1 second crop sire at the Saratoga meet with multiple winners at Belmont and Aqueduct. Earn double the New York Breeders' Awards and participate in the New York Stallion Series with $2 million in purses. War Dancer, proud to stand in New York. Visit wardancerstud.com.
Hello, you've reached the offices of West Point Thoroughbreds. Please leave your name and your number, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can.
Okay, starting to move now. He's 4th. He's on the outside now. He's pressing him now. There's the 1, the 7, and the 6. He's on the lead. There's another horse on the inside of him. He's pulling away. He's going to win this race.
Good Magic's in front. Good Magic pulls away from Solomini. Good Magic's going to win his first race, and he's going to do it in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile.
Good Magic to the front of the field in the Toyota Bluegrass to win it. The champ is back. Good Magic in a good-looking performance.
800,000, 75, 875, 8.5. Pete, 775,000. Thank you.
Magic's in front.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. Use promo code TRYRTN for a 5-day free trial.
For a time, as many as 350 Major League players converged in Hot Springs, Arkansas each spring to prepare for the upcoming season.
Ownership felt they needed to boil out the alcoholic microbes. Hot Springs was known as a place that had therapeutic waters, and they came for that reason. And then the ball players turned out to love it because they really not only did get in shape, but they had a great time.
By the 1930s, nearly half of all Major League teams had, at some point, used Hot Springs as their spring training base. Plus, about half of all prominent ball players visited Hot Springs individually. Babe Ruth used to visit Hot Springs to work his way into shape, a place to prepare for spring training. In fact, the Babe even used the hot healing waters to recover from influenza. This wall at the Gangsters Museum of America in Hot Springs represents the long list of Hall of Fame baseball greats who trained here. This winter is a reminder of why baseball eventually migrated away from Hot Springs. The rain proved to be a disruption, and sometimes even the cold and snow wiped out valuable practice time. Although by the 1930s, most teams moved to Florida and Arizona, Hot Springs would continue to be a destination for players to work out before joining their Major League squads for decades to come.
Such a great history, an interesting history out in Hot Springs, not just spring training, but all the gangsters that used to assemble there back in the day. It sort of was Las Vegas before Vegas became Vegas. And there's a neat film actually called The First Boys of Spring, narrated by Billy Bob Thornton, about spring training in Hot Springs.
I never knew that. Wow, you learn
Yeah,
something new every day. I wonder if do you think any baseball players now ever go to Hot Springs before heading south?
They should.
They should.
For the racing alone.
Exactly.
We need to create some more race fans from MLB. I need to get there. I still have not been.
Oh, you'll like it. You'll like it for sure. The track, you know, when you watch it on TV, it looks as though it's kind of set out in the country, but actually the grandstand's literally right on top of the road. But when you look out from the grandstand onto the track, it's very bucolic in the view that you get. And the town is great, and they're just so obsessed with racing. It just makes you feel good to be there as a racing fan.
It feels a lot like Saratoga?
Yeah, as far as the people and their energy geared towards the racetrack, absolutely.
Even money favorite in this one coming up. Connections that are some of the best in the game. One of the best claiming trainers there is, Robertino Diodoro. He'll send out Leading West, and his main rider, David Cohen, will be aboard.
Why the drop, though, Greg? He ran really well last time.
It's a red
They're just
flag.
giving up. I mean, maybe it's Tino trying to, get closer as far as wins and be close as far as the leading trainer title is concerned. But I thought this was a fairly suspicious drop, though these sometimes do just tend to win.
We'll get a look at Leading West coming up in a moment. Yeah, I mean, this horse put in a big effort against a ton tougher last time out. There was a 50,000 starter allowance, and it was at this track back on January 7th. You can play this finale and all the races we bring you on the program with Naira Bets. $200 deposit match sign-up bonus. The code to use for new members, bonus 200. There's the website. Download the app and bet any track, anywhere, anytime. So maybe a reason, if you're betting, to bet against the favorite here, because it makes you question why that big drop down. But Robertino Diodoro and M&M Racing specifically, we've talked about them a lot. Together, they've had a very slow start. They finally won at the meet together, but they've had a slow start. Maybe they just want to get their picture taken.
That could be it. That's sometimes as simple as that.
Here's Lake Nakuru, part of an entry post 2.
I thought he was very interesting. Can kind of run on either surface, or any of the three surfaces, much like his sire. His race back at Indiana at a similar level was good and could win this.
Outside post for the 1A, who draws in off the also eligible list Bugle of War. And here's the one who gets the rail, Justin's Quest.
Yeah, Justin's Quest will stretch out in distance, gets a fast track for the second start off the bench. Maybe that race was just a prep back on January 2nd.
Ravenio, Nick Zito, 2 for for 27 lifetime, hasn't hit the board the other 25 starts.
Well, his decent form has eluded him as of late.
Grand Design at least was forward early and hung around late.
Put in a good effort behind Most Satisfactory last time out, was a huge price that day, and it's actually a huge price again. He does have some early speed, which could help him.
Big win for Charlie Can Do last start for 20 N2L.
Yeah, beat the even money favorite at this track, dominated. I think this horse is fairly interesting.
Word time here. Got a huge number winning at Saratoga this summer.
Woof, that horse gets out really bad in his races, Greg.
Gainer, 23-1 with Kelsey Haar.
Yeah, Gainer will be coming in off of a layoff, needs to find a race that I just don't think he's run in the past.
Here's Georgia Deputy, 6-year-old by Notional.
Has absolutely no speed, does get the fast track for the first start in 3 thus far, cannot get out of the gate very well.
He's going to be far back early. Here's the big favorite. How's he look?
Good. I like what I see. I like him on form. What are we doing? Why are we dropping?
6-5 on Leading West. And here's Sports Fan at 13-1.
Did go wide on the first turn to avoid a loose horse in his last start where he was the beaten favorite. So a little bit of trouble there.
And Tonal Talitarian. Good luck,
nice
McStoffer.
Job doing it, Greg. This one does drop down. This Oklahoma bred. Hey, maybe the class relief will help this horse a bit, and it could.
Yeah, drops out of some first-level allowance races. That was Open Company against State Bred the last time he was in an allowance race. He was a winner, and that was a Remington.
Other than his debut, which was at Oaklawn here in a maiden 75,000, he's been protected, and this is the first time for a tag in a long time, and sometimes the best hop is a drop.
Seldom in this game are things too good to be true here, and it looks like it's too good to be true with Leading West.
Doesn't it? But then sometimes are we overcomplicating it? Look, I'm not against him because purely on resume, he wins here, right? And it's not as if he's, this is the first time he's running this cheaply. He did run in a maiden 20, and Tino did pick him up. Robert Tino Diodoro did pick him up for $30,000, but he's basically being cut in half as far as his claiming tag is concerned after running very well behind prioritization in his last start. So maybe Gary has more insight?
Even money favorite. Gary, your thoughts on Leading West?
They just want to win. They will win. And the bet here is what the over and under is on how many go in and try and claim this horse. I'll give you a stat going into this week. M&M Racing, they were 0 for 20 with 9 seconds. They like to win races. They want to be leading rider here at Oaklawn Park, and they can feel that slipping away from them. You're going to see a lot of horses that are dropping down out of this barn. It's not unusual. They know he's going to get claimed. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't have a claim in for a couple different horses in here, and one of them being the 5, Charlie Can Do. That's the horse that I like to run second in here, but I don't think anything's going to beat Leading West. JK, what about you?
Gee, I agree with you. I was looking at Mike Sisk, one of the owners of M&M Racing, or the main owner of M&M Racing, looking at his Twitter on January 14th, which was Friday. He was happy to finally get that first win. Now, they drew for this race Friday morning, which means that he was still searching for that first win. That's why I believe there was an aggressive drop. Even before he was on this slide that he's on, the ownership group not winning any races, they've always been aggressive in dropping horses because they want to win the title. And not only, if they want to win the title, they surely don't want to be over. I think this horse is in here aggressively for that reason, to try to help get things going in the right direction. And you'd be lucky to get even money on this horse in this race.
So we'll see if this can kind of jumpstart things for M&M Racing, who year in, year out. I mean, they're right there, and sometimes it just takes one to get you going.
And Diodoro winning the training title a couple years back as well. And we'll now look at number 6, this horse second off the claim for trainer Carl Broberg, who, like M&M Racing, has gotten off to a slow start at Oaklawn. Now, he picked this horse up off of what looked to be also one in a suspicious drop at Saratoga. And then we don't see him for a little over 4 months. He looks as though he's wearing that extension blinker. Thankfully, I got to see that because I hadn't seen it until now. This horse gets out. He gets out badly in his races. Now, an extension blinker often will help, but sometimes it doesn't. So we'll see what he does here. He was the well-beaten favorite after getting out the entire way around there and then just completely blowing the turn down the lane.
But if he can go back to what he did at Saratoga, I don't care what races Leading West has been in. He's going to have his hands full here.
Yeah, I don't know if it was the deepest on 2 for 60, but he blew the field away, Greg, by winning by 11 1/4 lengths that day. So yes, if he can run straight, you're absolutely right. He may give him a run for his money.
But look, he did not show up, and maybe it was the muddy racetrack. He one start prior, a totally different track, sloppy going. He didn't seem to like that early, so maybe it's an excuse for his last start. But you got to be concerned about his comeback effort.
But he was also getting out in that Saratoga effort too,
yeah.
While well clear. So, and then the break off of the layoff. Now, maybe you could take it as a positive that they chose to bring him back, because I believe it's 60 days off of a layoff. For your first start back at Oaklawn, you can protect your horses. So they did waive the claim in this same condition back on December 18th. But I can't fall in love with a horse who has been getting out in his last 2 efforts.
Well, price, as expected, dropping. Odds on now and may get even lower here. 4 to 5. We could see 3 to 5, 2 to 5 before we get to post time. Here's Leading West last time out. This was back on January 7th in a 50,000 starter allowance. He would just miss to a horse who had finished ahead of him the start before, Prioritization.
Yeah, Prioritization ran well here, and he was attending the pace. And Leading West, I couldn't make any excuse from the trip standpoint, and that David Cohen saved all the ground with him. Literally, as they say, just missed. So the running line says he just missed, Greg.
And you look at this finish,
Did he
too,
hang?
the 9-horse. I love the way he was finishing. I don't think he was hanging.
I don't think so either. I mean, Prioritization, as you said, beat him in his last start. It's just, that's how they class up against each other.
It's difficult. I mean, you could show that to a few different people and different opinions on how
They'd
he's
say
finishing.
he would hang, and
but
others would say he didn't hang because, Prioritization had the jump on him.
4 to 5, almost too much to like with
Yeah,
this horse.
I'm not against him. I'm just, sometimes you have to call into question, why are they dropping him? But I think JK and Gary answered that with the most likely scenario, that they just want to win races. But even if that is your main goal, sometimes these horses still do get upset.
Best laid plans, yeah, sometimes
Correct.
they don't work out. We talked about Wartime Hero of the 6. I guess the other logical upset candidate, and Gary touched on this one, it was probably Charlie Can Do, who ran a huge race last time out, but now stepping up to this next level.
It does feel that race a little bit of an outlier. But to be fair, he's done most of his running on the turf, most of them in turf sprints. Now his 2 races at Hawthorne, they were okay, but definitely not as good as that win 420 in his last start. I mean, he just dominated against a horse who was even money that day in Speightstown again. Can he run back to it? If he runs back to it, he's right there.
Loading up, 4 to 5, and there is the favorite, the 9. Leading West, Diodoro, Cohen, M&M Racing, 5-year-old by Distorted Humor. These connections wanting a win. Expected to get it here. Can this horse deliver? Let's go to Vic Stauffer, the nightcap here from Oaklawn Park.
Tonal Totalitarian. The last horse to load is Bugle of War. They're at the post. They're off. Wartime Hero and Charlie Can Do with Justin's Quest and a hard scent Grand Design. These 4 go very fast. Bugle of War is next. Then comes a Gainer, followed by Revenio at the rail. Leading West has just been passed by Tonal Totalitarian and Sports Fan, followed by Georgia Deputy, and the early trailer is Lake Nakaroo. To the backstretch with Justin's Quest just in front of Grand Design and a 3-wide Charlie Can Do. These 3 continue to go fast. Wartime Hero has backed off that threesome and races in fourth, and he's a sharp fourth, too, a length and a half off the lead. Then it's a huge gap, about 10 lengths back to the next group of horses, Totalitarian, between horses Bugle of War and to the outside Leading West. Gainer is in that group as well. Then Ravenio and Sports Fan, another 5 back to Georgia Deputy, and the trailer is like Nuckaroo, and they go into the far turn, and Charlie Can Do is going to win this 3-horse battle, but can he win the war? Those top 4 have gone very fast. Charlie Can Do in front. Wartime Hero has moved into second. Leading West is moving up with every stride, and you better take a look at Leading West. He's drawn within 2 of the lead, and when they get to the top of the stretch, he could easily be the new leader. Wartime Hero, Charlie Can Do in a 4-wide Leading West. Totalitarian has taken over fourth, then comes to the top of the stretch, and Leading West, who storms to the front. Leading West is now 2.5 in front of Wartime Hero, who's running a very big race in second, then Totalitarian and Sports Fan, but Leading West is just too good, and now he's 5 in front. Wartime Hero is second, Leading West in front. Leading West won by 6. Wartime Hero was second, Totalitarian third, and Sports Fan finished fourth.
West, early on, he had a lot of work to do in this race, but he made it look pretty easy.
A lot of speed that unfolded in front of him. A great effort from the 6 in here. Wartime Hero ran straighter today, attended the pace, but Leading West was just too much for him.
You see him win like this, 4-5, looks like an absolute gift.
I wonder how many went in for him and who is going to pick up Leading West.
Very likely he is not going back to the Robertino Diodoro barn. 16,000 claim tag. Yeah, well, we'll have that for you when we come back. We're back next week on FS2, 2:30 Eastern Time. We will see you then. Coming up next on FS1, Seabiscuit and our colleague Gary Stevens in the role of George Wolfe. He was outstanding in that film. Man of the Can took the feature at Oaklawn, and it was Battle Bling. Rob Atras in the ladies handicap. We'll see you on Friday next week on FS2.